What's up, Surreal Football fans? My name is Steven Hyder. I got a special guest with me here today, my co-collaborator, my co-live streamer here, Mr. Dubs, the O-line guru himself. What's up, Dubs? How you doing, man?
What's up? How you doing, Gate? You doing good, man?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, man. Feeling good, bro. Feeling good. Midweek, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's always something. You hit the midweek, you can see the end in sight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always
okay,
good.
you know, what's there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we thought what we would do to start off today's topic for you guys. This is a question I get a lot. It's really difficult to answer because there are completely different skill sets between coaching and being a strength coach. those are drastically different tasks. Even at the high school level, you normally have a go-to guy, someone who's working, normally teaches your strength and conditioning classes for the actual school. When I played ball, it was Coach Leach, who I think just retired actually recently for Garner. He was our strength and conditioning guy. So what we thought we would do is we would talk about, and this is near and dear to my heart, kid. You got a really, really athletically gifted young man. He's about to start high school, but he's the cardinal sin of football. He's underweight and he's under strength. All right, I'm going to start with you, man. What do you think from like ground up? What's the first approach you do with a guy who's underweight and just doesn't have enough strength yet to step onto a football?
Probably, first thing I would do is ask about his diet. I know he's a little younger. I would definitely ask about his diet, ask how much he's eating. He should benefit a lot because how young he is. He should be able to see gains quite quickly. His body should grow fast because he's younger, So I would first ask, what is he eating? I would ask him, is he eating enough protein? I'm asking, is he putting enough in there? I'm asking him, also junk food he's eating. Because sometimes all the food that you eat might not correlate to muscle. It might turn into fat, which he might be underweight, but you don't want to put fat on it. So there's a couple of things I would probably tell him. But the first thing I would tell him is ask him, what does he eat? He needs to eat plenty of meat. He needs to eat protein, chicken, steak, some stuff like that. Just a balanced diet. I know he's younger, but he needs to eat enough. He doesn't need to just be grabbing Lunchables if that's what he's doing. That could be a problem because I know when you're younger, you don't really put too much thought into what you eat.
And you know what? And the crazy thing is like when I was young, they started me off on like the weight gainers, which they're really just protein powders on steroids. Basically, you're upping it up with the sugars and stuff, but it's really just a protein powder being masked with a lot of sugar and stuff in it. To be quite honest, I would say that I think the method that you and I were just discussing, which is like you've got to eat an excess of calories, and you have got to get protein in there. Like you got to make sure you're getting it down. Now, this is the thing that always amazed me when I was younger. Like what they would do with me is when I would go in for conditioning, man, it would make me run so much. And I think if you're dealing with a guy who's underweight and they're already lacking ideal strength, to play at a certain level, I don't know that would be the advice I'd give a guy in that situation. I'm not saying conditioning in terms of running in sprints, maybe pushing sleds. I'm not saying those things aren't important, like maybe running hills, 20 minutes running hills, pushing sleds for 20 minutes or something. I'm not saying those things aren't important. I'm saying I would not put a guy on the treadmill for 30 minutes to an hour running.
Yeah, I'm not doing distance at all. I'm not willing to do this. I'm doing probably speed work, quickness, explosion, stuff like that. That's what I would probably do for someone that's undersized. And anything that's so simple, especially if you're younger, like 14, and I know it's like sounds like something your dad would tell you something. Get on the floor and do push-ups. Get on the
100%.
floor and do push-ups. I know it sounds so simple and it sounds like nothing, but it really does teach your body how to move in weird predicaments. It's not like lifting your weight. It does something different for your body. It also works on your core. It will really help you a lot in football, but just get down there and do push-ups. Do as many as you can and just see and then build from there. Now, I can give you a number that'll help you out like every single night, but if you're young and 14, athletic, just knock them out.
I love that original advice because even if you only have nickels or dimes to play with in terms of conditioning, there's 3 things you can do for really cheap. You can do push-ups, you can do pull-ups, you can do dips.
Literally.
Those don't cost you much of anything.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. I promise you, I done seen people that I done play ball with because, when you play ball, you got all the teammates coming to your room and everything. And I can tell you several guys that body pretty much changed in 3 months off of just saying, yeah, man, I do push-ups every night.
Yeah.
Body look completely different.
So that's an interesting one. Is like when you get the push-ups, I think that's an interesting one, right? Because, anytime you're working out, whether you're dealing with a young man, whether you're dealing with a man in his 40s, his 50s, his 60s, it really, to me, it really comes down to a couple of things, which is what are you eating? Are you getting enough protein in your diet? And then Okay, tell me the volume, and then tell me, in terms of after volume, tell me frequency. Like,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm interested to see, like, how would you handle a kid in this situation in terms of the volume and the frequency?
That's why I said push-ups. I would assume that he's probably about to get ready to go into high school, and you're going to go to high school. They're going to give you a workout program. And any workout program, that's fine. Just follow the program. But I know without a doubt, and I know it just sounds so simple, especially with you being this young and you probably never, like with somebody being that young and probably never doing it, if they get down there and do 250 push-ups every single night, within 2 weeks alone and eating right, if you're just doing that alone, you should do that every single day. So if we're talking about frequency, you should do push-ups every single day. But if
Yeah.
we're talking about like an actual structural workout, I'm a firm believer in at least 4 days. I'm a 4-day guy. 4 days, give yourself 3 off. That's what I do. If you're
Even to
talking
this
about
day.
lifting heavy, like trying to,
Yeah.
because you need your body time to, and you can really go deep. You can go all the way deep into like what you should work out on what days and stuff. But
To this day, man, I'm 40 years old, and 5 to 7 times a week, I hit something. Like,
yeah,
I
literally,
normally do anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes.
I'm
It's
the same way.
always, yeah,
Cardio,
like,
something. I'm doing something.
yeah,
Something. Give me 20
yeah,
minute
exactly.
cardio.
Like,
Something.
yeah,
I'm
like,
doing something. I'm
like
getting
I
out
don't,
there.
I don't do a lot of running anymore. I don't do anything. I always make sure I'm getting 10,000 steps. Like, that's like, I keep this on my wrist for that exact reason, to make sure I'm hitting 10,000 steps, because 10,000 steps is 500 calories, simply put. And I do things like, I might do, contrasted things. So I might do, like, bench press and pull ups. So I'm pushing, I'm pulling, I'm working the chest, I'm working the back. I'm trying to, sorry, that's a dog. Hey, chill. And she knocked something over and then freaked out. But, I do things like that to try to, like, keep it going. But, when you're dealing with young guys, and like I was joking before we came on, I said, that age, you go out there, you go get you the spindle and lock weights, those, little 1-inch weights, the spindle and lock. You got your little easy curl bar, and you in there doing them curls. Curls are for the girls. You try to curl. It's the wrong thing to do. Isolation movements are great. If you're looking for hypertrophy work and things like that, like, isolation movements do make a ton of sense. But if you're training for strength, if you're training for explosion,
that's a whole
is that where
different
you would
thing.
go? Yeah, is that where you would go, or would you advise them to go in a different direction?
Oh, if I'm doing an explosion, I'm doing something. I was just about to say, and I was literally just about to ask why you talking about that. I wonder, position matters so much. I know I'm thinking deep into it. I will also ask, what position do you want to play? Because the first thing I would ask is about your lower body. Football is definitely a lower body sport. So when you say you're smaller, how's your lower body looking? I would probably ask. I had a bunch of wall sits. These are just simple things I can tell them. Like, man, go sit on a wall for every night. You feel me? These are just small things. Go do some calf raises.
Yeah, hold a wall sit for 5 minutes, bro.
Yeah, for 5 minutes. Do you some calf raises? Do you some air squats? Do you some what are they called? It's pretty much when you squat down and you jump up as high as you can. You explode all the way up. Any of those explosive movements you need to get, and especially because he's so young, and if they haven't done it yet, it would definitely do a lot if they just did that for 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm a fan of all those things, man. I mean, I always tell them, like,
med ball throws. I like all those. That's the type of stuff because it correlates right into football to me. Get your hips into it.
Yeah, throwing too. Just even baseball. That's a good one for baseball. It's a good one for a lot of different sports. Honestly,
picking up that medicine ball alone, like at his age and size, would be a great workout.
Yeah,
med ball slam.
That's a tough one, because depending on where you're playing and what you're doing, you do need to have a combination of different things. You need a combination of strength, because you just need to get stronger. And I think biggest bang for your buck there is going to be doing those big compound lifts, getting more than one muscle involved. Stick to the 5, and then find the variations you like of the 5. Do your squats, your deadlifts, your bench, your overhead presses, and your rows. Those are the big 5. And then I would always work in your pull-ups, always work in your push-ups if you can. And then you want to find the things that you really enjoy for explosive movements, in my opinion. Like, it gets tough because, like, not everyone will have access to things like a T-bar. Being able to do those, quick explosive movements with a T-bar and things like that to kind of get into shape like that. But, you can go get a pretty inexpensive sled off of Amazon, and you can load these sleds up and make your kid push it, and they'll get
Oh, you can do things without like I said, the one drill, like you squat down and you jump as high as you possibly can on both feet and you land. You do that. That is, I promise you, that is definitely getting your lower legs and your hips and training yourself how to reignite and go going on through there, that's definitely explosion. And that'll, if you did 50 of those, your legs will be shot. We used to do it all the time in college. That was one of our summer workouts where we do outdoors. We're doing our sprints and conditioning. And then we would also do a lot of med ball work, like you said, for explosion and stuff. And that was one of the things that we did for explosion. It really gets you learning how to get out of your hips. Get out of your hips.
Yeah.
Boom. Get out of your hips. That has a lot to do with football. That's why explosion. If you work on explosion, even if you're a smaller guy, if you're explosive, we can get some work done. Look at Bob Sanders. Look at Bob Sanders. It really don't. You're explosive, we can get some work done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's a tough thing to get because there's so much to consider when you're working a kid out like this and you're trying to get them prepared like sport, because you definitely want to work between you want to make sure you're varying things between pushing and pulling. You want to make sure you're hitting those big compound lifts, right? You want to make sure you're working in all three of the different planes, and make sure you're moving forward, you're moving backwards, you're moving to the side, you're twisting, you're doing things to work all those planes, you're doing all those different things. But you also have to make sure that you're doing those explosive movements because you want to be as sport specific as you can.
Yes, the last thing you want to I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The last thing that you want to do is to get slower in football. There's no whether you gain the weight or not, the last thing that you want to do is lose explosion. So that's what I would say focus on. I know I could definitely just tell you eat peanut butter jellies every day and just get bigger, but you got to get more so specific for football, I would say.
Yeah, when I was young, that was always the advice too. Was peanut butter and jelly, and then hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah. I used to eat boiled eggs in high school. That's what I would do. Boiled eggs in the morning.
Yeah,
boiled eggs in the morning. In high school.
Everybody be mad at you. Trying to move away. Yeah, I used to do the same thing because I had to. Like I had to keep weight, and it's interesting because we definitely played drastically different position groups. Like I didn't have to play down in the trenches past like 12 years. Like I didn't have to engage down there, and that's a different level of athlete. That's strength athlete right there.
I was just thinking the other day about, man, I really playing down there is a different world. Like I would tell people all the time, if you could just see one inside drill, that's what I tell her. Inside is my favorite football drill. Is when there's nothing but O-line, D-line. It's the front seven. It's front seven on front seven, pretty much. So O-line, D-line, linebackers, running back, fullback, tight ends. And quarterback just doing handoffs. It's a full run. It's only run. It's inside, so it's only run. So the defense knows run. Man, you talking about just flying around and car crashes the whole time. It's definitely a different world down there.
And that's crazy because like when you think about what's going on the interior of any line, the amount of force that has to be applied and the rate of pace that it has to be done at, like I'm sure you guys do more explosive work than people realize. Because
all explosive work. Like I know countless drills for getting explosion through hips. I know countless drills about, like when I say countless, because as an all offensive lineman, that's your bread and butter. Hips.
Yeah.
Get out your hips. Rolling through your hips. All you hear is old lineman coach, roll your hips. That's all you hear.
It took me a long time to realize how important hip placement is when you're working down in the trenches. Like it's not, it's not one of the first things that ever came to my mind because I didn't play down in there like that. But as I got involved in coaching and I saw how much went into teaching, like even working sleds, I always just thought it was a conditioning thing. I just thought they were conditioning us.
Oh, nah. Yeah, it's all about techniques. You got to know when to roll them hips. When you roll them hips, keep them legs moving. That's how you move people out the way. That's why people that it's very rare. That's why Jason Kelsey, what I was talking about last time we was on, that's what the way he get out of his hips. That's all explosion. You see how explosive? That's all his hips.
Yeah.
That's him getting out of his hips so great like that.
Yeah.
I bet he can throw the heck out of a med ball if he got on his knees. What we would do sometimes is get on our knees and have a med ball in our hand and get on all fours pretty much. You got to get up and throw it as hard as you can. You land on your stomach. You have the med ball out here. And you kind of start over, coil up, and throw it and roll your hips and land on your stomach.
What I always wondered, and I, it's something I would love to actually ask somebody who's working in, strength and conditioning, who's actually making programs. I wonder how much of what they do from an explosive standpoint mirrors the way that they bring up and they train in these young men that are working inside of like, MMA, how to strike. Because, there's got to be some similarity there's got to be some overlap there.
It is my okay, so Johnny Robinson, a defensive lineman I played with, he played with the Colts for a second. He played with the Colts for a while, and then he went to Canada. Great defensive lineman, one of the best defensive linemen ever played against. Undersized guy, play a lot like kind of Drell Casey or Aaron Donald. I call it 99 Problems. Casey that used to play for the they used to play for the Titans, I believe. Yes, 99. Yeah. I call it 99 Problems. Yeah. He played a lot like them. He now does MMA, and he's one of the best ones in his gym right now, and it's all correlates to the same thing, hip explosion. The same thing in boxing. I do boxing in my spare time, man. It's a lot of similarities in turning your hips and knowing how to use your hips and using your legs to get power, and all that goes right into O-line.
Yeah,
all goes right into using your legs and knowing how to, in an awkward position, get as much power as possible through your hips.
All right, so we'll round it out for this one real quick, and we'll get into our topics talking about the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got a young man. They're sitting at home. They're in the camp by now.
Yeah.
They're sitting there. They're underweight. We're going to increase their calories.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take the increase? Because they're going to be doing a lot of work. I would say at least 500, but I might even push it 700, just because once you get in there and you start running 2-a-days, you're going to burn calories.
Yeah, I would. The first thing I recommend
you're going to burn a significant amount of calories, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would say past increasing the calories, past doing those things, the next thing I could think of would be, okay, you're gonna create some kind of a program. We're gonna work with what you access to a gym. We're gonna get you to a gym. If you got access to a rack, and you got some equipment at your house, we're gonna utilize those things. I mean, compound over isolation if you can, and then you're gonna work with explosion. And then to finalize it, you say explosion, we're looking for power. What correlates to those things, believe it or not, is a lot of volume. You need volume to do that. You're young, you're going to recover from the volume.
You'll be
you
fine.
don't want to overdo it. Yeah, you don't want to overdo it, but you're going to recover from the volume.
Yeah.
Like, get yourself in the caloric surplus, chill out on the running, maybe do explosive work when you're doing running work. Yeah. Hit the compound movements, get into the explosive training. Your body time. It's going to take time, right? I'd say give it at least 18 months to 2 years before you really start. When you start hitting that varsity level, you should have a little bit to show.
Oh, yeah. By the time you're on that varsity level, it should be plenty of show. And one thing I would recommend, especially on the diet, get things that you're comfortable with and that you don't mind eating a lot of constantly. What I mean by that, if you like peanut butter and jelly, get comfortable eating it every day. If you like certain things, get comfortable eating like little things like that. Like a peanut butter jelly is so quick. You can eat that down real quick. Get comfortable with saying, okay, I might eat so many of these every day, or I might try to have pasta once or twice a week. You feel me? It's especially if you're truly underweight. If you're underweight like you truly are, a couple carbs won't hurt that. Get you some pasta in you every now and then. You're young, growing, and like he said, a lot of volume. I would say because you're so young. If I just remember being able to just how much I remember I used to run every day. By the age of 15, 16, I'm running a mile and 2 miles every day, but I was an old lineman and I was a heavier set. So I didn't have to lose weight. I mean, I didn't have to gain weight. I had to really lose weight. I just had to maintain. So I was in a different situation, but you should just get comfortable working every day. By the time you're 6,
5 miles every day.
Yeah.
I was 5 miles every day at that age, bro. Every day.
Yeah, I was doing too.
It carried easily for me into the military, to be honest. It made it really easy because the military, it's push-ups, it's pull-ups, it's sit-ups, it's running.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a lot of calisthenic work. So like being able to it translated very easily. And it probably also you're probably going to translate very, very well to the military just because you're not going to do a volume of work that exceeds what you're already doing. The military is very unlikely to do that unless you're messing around with like special force type stuff, Then you're not. It's a completely different side of things. But I agree. All right, man. You ready for this Eagles chat?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. We're gonna do it. Top five offensive players. Give me your number 5. Who is your important player you think for this offense?
You said 5th most important player. If I'm starting from 5, let me think. Let me see. Let me see because I had it written down 1 through 5. Let me make sure. Okay. If I'm going 5, most important, I'm definitely going on Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson's at 5, and I know that
Okay.
seems lower, but we're gonna get there. I'm going Lane Johnson at 5.
All right. So Lane, we know all the stats, we know all the records. He hasn't given up a sack since like forever almost. Probably in terms of skill position, like one of the most unique guys we have out there. Also a guy, you go back to his time at community college. This was a 200-pound quarterback
Yeah,
who then
great
left
athlete.
community college, became a tight end, became a defensive lineman, from a defensive lineman became an offensive lineman. Any concern you have, given the fact that you have Lane Johnson, who probably comes in around 315, 320-ish when the season's there. But this is a great question for you because you play collegiately and you play that connection if it keeps kicking back like that. You play collegiately along the O-line. What you start and what you finish, how different is it from a weight standpoint?
Like at the season, like where I start at the season, what I finish at the season, or you said where I start at, or you talking about like just through my career?
Like when you start the season, like when you start the season to compare to how you end your season, is there like a drastic difference in the weight?
Yeah. Well, it depends. Well, a lot of depends on your during season program. That matters a decent amount. And a lot of times you can't do too much during the season anyway because you're in the season. And a lot of it's recovery, and practices are brutal. Practices are very, very brutal. So it's very rare that you can do much, I must say, physical change during the season. You can maybe lose some weight. You probably will lose some weight. That's probably what you can figure. But I feel like as an offensive lineman, it depends. I feel like a guy in Lane's situation, he could probably maintain pretty fine all throughout the season. But it definitely is something, if you don't pay attention to, you can either gain or lose weight throughout the season. Because you got to think about the guys that don't play. You got to think about like the third string guys that don't get many reps in practice. Doesn't really travel, don't get the walkthrough reps, so they're standing around more so. They're just doing the sled work. If they have a bad diet and a bad body type, they can easily gain weight during the season.
Oh, absolutely.
If you got a guy like Lane that's probably getting most of the reps, all pro, very locked in professional, and with his body type, I'm guessing he lose weight very easily because he's in a great, just by his body frame, you could tell he's not going to be a fat guy. So whatever weight he did gain, he had to go get it. So I feel like for Lane, he would probably more so make sure he doesn't lose too much weight. And the style of play, I'm sure that he wants to be a little heavier because he's not he's a very physical guy. So I don't want to make it seem as if he's not a physical guy, but he doesn't quite move people as much as some other people do. And I know he knows that, and then he kind of has to make sure his weight is appropriate for it. Like Mulata come through and like Landon Dickerson come through when they hit you. It's Lane Johnson still has that ability, but he's naturally a smaller guy. You see what I'm saying? So he has to, he has that in his mind. I got to be at a right weight. I can't be undersized. So I think him maintaining would be big. He's going to have to maintain it. Most offensive linemen kind of know what they have to do. You got to try to maintain it because by the time the season starts, you can't make any changes. We're here now.
I had a young man on Twitter who didn't understand the point that you're making there, which is like you can say player A and player B pounds, but that 310 pounds can be drastically different.
Like wildly different.
Yeah, like you can't say like Isaac Seumalo was 305 pounds when he came in the league. So you look at a guy like Cam Jurgens, he was 305, like right. Seumalo built his way up to like 330 over like the course of like 7-8 seasons.
Yeah, the right way.
That's that Southeast Pacific Samoan blood you're talking about. That man done played the line his entire career. Going all the way back to high school, he was a lineman. Like you get to a guy like Cam Jurgens, he was a tight end. Like there are different body frames, even if the guys are coming in the same exact weight.
You're so right.
It's hard to get people. It's like all up, back up, bro.
Yeah, it's hard for people to understand that. They don't. I know exactly what you mean because it's certain people and it's certain people body types and certain offensive line body types where you have to worry about them losing weight. So some of them got to worry about losing weight, and some of them got to worry about gaining weight. It just really depends on, like you said, if somebody have a history of being a bigger guy, they've been playing O-line their whole life. Losing weight might not be a thing, but you got to just worry about the body type, like I say. But a guy like Lane Johnson, if he's not focused on keeping his weight up and eating properly, I can easily see him losing weight. I can see him easily losing weight throughout the season if he's not on it. That's just from what I see from the outside, I would say.
All right, well, let's peel the onion back here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll get to my 5 in a second, but I think we're in a natural place to have this conversation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We have a guy who is probably naturally under 300 pounds in Kelsey. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We have a guy at right tackle who I would bet you as soon as he gets out of the league is not going to be 300 pounds.
Facts.
In Lane Johnson.
He'll be 230, 240. He's going to shoot down.
Yeah.
He's going to get down quick. Yeah.
Does that matter when you look at your right guard? How important is size protection? And, like, how far do you think that consideration will extend when they're trying to look at guys like Jack Driscoll, Tyler Steen, and then you got Cam Jurgens? Like, how much do you think that natural body size is going to matter when it comes to evaluating these guys, given the fact that Kelsey's his size? We know what Lane is, even though Lane is probably one of the best doing that job right now.
Yeah, he is. He's the best right tackle in the NFL. Right tackle wise. Yeah, I would say within having size at the right guard position, I'm going to say with Jeff Stoutland being the offensive line coach he is and understand the offense that we'll probably be running, the Philadelphia Eagles will be running, I would say that it's not going to be an advantage or disadvantage. I think it's more so specific to what type of offense they're going to be running. So what I mean by that is if we're doing a lot of option, a lot of things where a lot of people in the open space, they might be thinking we can compromise size. They might think, okay, we maybe can compromise it here if he's a really good football player. You see what I'm saying? But if we're doing a lot more zone, power, trap, and they feel as if the big guy is getting it done and is more needed, I can see that happen. I think it's not a true answer to it. I think it's a best fit thing. And Jeff Stoutland has always been able to find out what's good in them players, and they get plays for specific reasons.
Yeah, see, and that's the tough part is like getting Carlos. What's up, man? We appreciate the question, buddy. He says this question is for Guru. Hey, who do you see good battle between Stern and Jurgen? I want to break that down a little bit before I get into my number 5, because I think that this one is. I look at it this way: Cam Jurgens is said to be given the first crack. So, in my opinion, Cam Jurgens would have to first show he's not capable of doing the job. Right? I mean, I think it's going to be really difficult unless Cam Jurgens gives for someone to step through the opening. But like you said, scheme will matter. When they sit down and they draw up, I think people maybe get a little confused on how scheme works. First part, like what they're doing currently right now, is they're installing the offense.
Yeah.
Which that install is really important. So once they install it, they're not going to want to go back through and start editing.
No.
Once it's installed, they're going to start picking the best players that can fit that install. And I think that's what you were leaning into, which is like, it's hard to answer that question until we know the install and what's about to happen.
Till we know, I feel as if till you're able to know the install and know, okay, this is what it's going to look like. This is what Philly's going to look like. Then you're definitely more so able to say, okay, I feel like this is the type of offensive lineman for this is what they're looking for. But until then, I can tell you that all the pros that Cam Jurgens would have and what the others may have, all three of them are good football players. So it's not like and Jeff Stoutland's going to do a wonderful job with all three of them. So it's not going to be a bad situation. I really don't think so, whoever's there. I genuinely believe that. Cam Jurgens got a lot of upside. He's going to be a heck of a center, I believe. I think he's going to be a really, really good center. He's going to be a really, really good center.
That guy is a freak athlete.
I think him playing guard will make him a nastier center because guard is a bloody, bloody position. Guard is all banging. I'm hitting the big guys. And at center, you might be free. You might not have a nose. You might have your 4 down. So you're more so getting to get more into it. At guard is mano a mano. I'm never free. I'm rarely free.
Absolutely.
See what I'm saying? So it's a lot more hitting. You got inside zone. You got tight reaches. You got a lot more physical man-on-man blocks.
It's a tough, like it's so tough to answer this question. And Carlos, it's not that we're trying to avoid your question. It's a tough question to honestly answer because there are so many things in consideration. Like we just said, we don't know the install yet. We know what they did last year. That does not mean that's what they're going to do this year.
Yeah.
Like, so it's tough to say that we know exactly what the install is going to be. And then on top of the install, you got to look at, okay, on one hand, Cam Jurgens been in the system for a year, but this is a guy that we ideally want to be our future center. So you kind of have to ask yourself, like, where's the benefit more? Can you get by with the other guys? Could they hold the job? It's tough, right? You look at Tyler walking in. Man, that first camp is tough. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to do.
It's hard to come in and just
that's exactly like it's a lot to put on a young man. I don't make too much of the fact that collegiately he didn't really play guard. He played left tackle and right tackle. To me, I'm not saying there's not specific body types, but I think the young man has the exact body type. I think he's shorter in the arms, stronger at the point of attack, got the right size frame. He's about 6'3", 6'4", somewhere around like 320, 325-ish, somewhere in that area. I think this is a young man he's got the potential. Like, and then you look at a guy like Driscoll. I think people are counting Driscoll out too fast, but
they better not.
Yeah, the only reason I'm pumping the brakes on Driscoll is, and this is where I get caught up on this one. If Driscoll becomes your right guard, what do you do as the sixth man? Like, do you think that's going to be Steen's going to be your sixth man?
And see,
like, what do you do as the sixth man?
And that's when it gets. I can say this. I believe Stoutland, especially younger guys, I believe he try to teach them the more. Obviously, the more you can play, the more valuable you are. The more positions. So I do believe younger guys or guys second or lower on the depth chart, he kind of teaches them or tells them, listen, if you can play more than one position, it helps you out. I kind of believe he does that. With that being said, I do believe Driscoll is just the most proven to be able to play multiple. I do believe that others have it in their mind that they need to, though.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I just believe Driscoll is the most proven.
It's crazy because, like, when people ask me, I think Driscoll is the most prepared to step in and play right now.
He's the best sixth man in the NFL, it seems like, as offensive lineman. Like, as a sixth man, like, if we get somebody that go down, I'm never not worried. We got Driscoll.
Yeah, when he stepped in for Mulata and was, like, serviceable at a left tackle spot, I was like, oh, like, this dude, like, that's a really good sixth man.
Yeah.
I think Driscoll's the most ready to step in and play right this second if we had to play somebody. I think Tyler Steen is going to be that dude eventually. I don't know when it's going to happen, but, man, I just get the vibes that he's that dude. He's that dude on the interior, man. I just get that vibe from him.
He's going to be, if Stoutland grabbed him, I could tell with his frame and by his film. If Stoutland grabbed him, he's going to be a great project for him. He's going to love having him. I mean, that's the perfect guy from him.
Yeah. And then I look at Cam Jurgens and I think to myself, like, that is a crazy, athletically gifted dude. Like, you don't see many guys along the line that can move the way that man can move. Like, there's only a few of them. Like Creed Humphrey, I think, is an athletic freak.
Creed,
I think Frank Ragnow with Detroit. I think he's a bit of an athletic freak.
Great center.
Dude, what's his name? Is it Ryan Kelly? Is that the center over there in Indianapolis?
Yeah, Indianapolis.
He's a pretty good athlete
from
himself.
Alabama. I think I played against Ryan Kelly.
He's nasty.
Sure.
He's nasty, man. He's nasty. That's a nasty player, bro. Like, there's a few of them like that are in that category, I think. But I think that when you really break down the athleticism, mind you, technique matters, and we don't know this man's technique in a game yet. But pure athleticism, he's up there. He's a ridiculous athlete. Cam Jurgens is. I'm excited to see what happens there, man. I have not picked a side personally, Dubs. I'm like, I don't know who's going to win that job. I just know that I think we're in a good spot, man. I think that
I can say this for the future of the offensive line. If Cam Jurgens, the only thing I'm worried about with him is banging. He's a smaller guy. He's not smaller, but he's naturally a smaller guy, and I'm worried about him having to go through a whole season physically in the middle like that if he's never played guard in the league. That's a tough ask. It really is. It's like, do I think he's able to? Yes. But it's just a tough ask. Now, in the future, I think he'll be a better center, and I think we'll be at a better offensive line for it, because that gives my boy from Alabama a chance to learn it a year, chill out, pump the brakes, and really learn it, and then bring him in. So I think it would be better in the future that way. I could probably say that. But we're on a Super Bowl run, so I'm not sure if we're thinking about next season. You see what I'm saying? Like
that's
we're
the
trying
tough part, right? Yeah.
yeah, we're
Like
not thinking
that's
about
really
like,
the tough part right there, what you just said. Like
yeah,
we're in a build and win right this second.
now, like right now, we're trying to win this year, so we don't have the time. I'm sure they're not thinking too far ahead like that. They're thinking, okay, we need a guy that's going to be a really good guy this year as well, though. Like he got to be a good guy this year.
Yeah,
And whoever it is, also got to think they're going to have a huge blessing of having 2 Hall of Famers beside them.
yeah, that makes life easy, doesn't it?
That
When you
makes
got
life.
Lane Johnson, when you look to your right and you got Lane, you look to your left and you got Jason Kelsey. Like,
I'm telling
yeah,
you, it's gonna. So even if he was coming in, I'm confident that he'll have a lot of help. And your offensive line coach is Jeff Stoutland. I think he'll be fine. Right now,
yeah,
I think if it wasn't Stoutland, I would say Jurgens. Just because I feel like the way most teams go, they will go with the guy. He needs to play. They want him to play, probably get some reps. But Jeff Stoutland is so good at his job. I understand that he knows that that's not a necessity. It'd be nice, but it ain't a necessity, and he'll get the best out of it.
Yeah, 100%, man. All right, I'll go into my number 5 real quick. I'm going to say my number 5 is DeAndre Swift. Reason being is I do think that he's not going to be a workhorse. It's just not. I don't think that's the way we're going to structure our running back rotation. But I do think that he's a guy. When I was quite shocked to see how good he is in pass protection. Didn't expect that. He's a little bigger than I thought he would be. You know, he's like 5'9", right around 210-ish. He's right around what we had last year, Miles Sanders, in terms of the size, but slightly shorter, a little bit more compact, honestly. Explosive in the passing game. The dude can catch and can make you miss an open field. I think just like Miles, there's going to be some times we might question his vision behind the line of scrimmage, but just like Miles, if you let that man into the open field, good luck. Like straightforward, good luck bringing him down. Like
I think Swift going to change. Swift, we did that. He's nice. He's a good football player. That's a good.
I really think if health stays there, and I can't. Obviously, we can't project health, but
he can have
the combination of Swift, Penny, and Gainwell could be really good, man.
Best backfield in the NFL. It could be. It could be. That backfield is unruly. Now, like you said, health is the biggest. Can both of the new guys stay healthy? I don't want one. I'm speaking it up. I said I want both. I want both of them healthy.
Yeah.
Now I can say this.
I don't even know what to do with a guy like Trey Sermon. Like, I know people are like, Boston Scott. And I do think Boston Scott has a leg up because Boston Scott can return kicks. But, man, there's something to Trey Sermon when he stepped on the football field. I don't know why it doesn't always work for him, but he's got talent. There is talent there.
Is it? Why is my? I'm sorry.
It doesn't sometimes. The focus, like sometimes I kind of got to do that number to get it to refocus.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But as Trey Sermon, I think he's a great. Let me tell you who I really, really like, and I already know Kenneth Gainwell. I'm sure you know I was going to say that. Kenneth is a great back. I can see why people might not see it because he's not your flashy back. He's not flashy. But if you know football, you know he hits the hole he needs to hit and he runs physical. That's all. And he's willing to block. So I think Kenneth Gainwell mixing in that with what we already got with Rashard Penny and Swift will be fine. And I would say Sermon and Scott. Sermon, in my opinion, would just have to be that much better than everybody for him to even get in it, but he got to show out. Like he has to be wow. I think wow.
Yeah, I think that competition back there I think it's good. I think it's gonna be really good.
It's high. I know the competition is high because Kenneth Gainwell want to play. I'm no Gainwell thinking you just see him in the playoffs and y'all. Oh no, I want to play.
Yeah,
he wants to play.
Yeah, I kind of look at it like, man, like everyone's like, oh, he's never had this type of season before. He's never had that type of season before, and it's like, yeah, I hear you, but Miles never had a 1,000-yard season before either until last year.
Yeah,
like
and you get behind this offensive
related as well. Miles had his own health struggles where it wasn't it was never like really serious injuries per se, but it was always these little nagging things he would get. But it limited him for a long time as well, to where he just couldn't stay on the field long enough to clip it. He had the yards per rush. Like you could look at his yard per, carry and you knew like, oh, if this guy gets over 185 carries in a season, he's going over 1,000 yards. Yeah. It's quite obvious when you just work the math out on it. So, didn't take much to last year with Miles Sanders. Sorry, guys, if it's pausing on me, my all day. So it's probably my connection if it's going in and out like that. All right. We'll grab some comments and we'll get to number 4. Then we'll jump into number 4. All right.
Cool. No problem.
We'll grab some comments. What's up, William? What's up, man? How you doing? My fellow Collins Park neighbor here, man. Carlos said, Gates, salute. Get this man a scouting job for the Birds. Appreciate you, man. He says, salute, Guru. He definitely knows that O-line. Yeah. Look, I've learned a lot through my time here from my guy here, Dubs, and then Jalen. Those guys have taught me a tremendous amount of information about the way that some of the blocking schemes work, the way protections work. Like, it's complex down there, man. You got to know a lot. Yeah. It's not as easy as people think. My guy, Yo Long Way said, Gate City on point. Appreciate you, bro. Sorry, it's on me, guys. Eagles fan said, what's up, Gate? Long time no see. Man, I'm hanging in there, bro. How are you, man? Vincent, what's good, man? He says, Coach, how would you think the backfield will do with the split back in the backfield? Kind of got around to that without even realizing you asked it, Vincent. But yeah. I think we got to start off by who's going to be on the roster. I think they're going to carry 4 running backs. That 4th spot's going to be real interesting.
I got Boston Scott. I bet.
I do too.
Just because, like you said, punt return, special teams. Yeah. Special teams. And if you're down there, and I'm an advocate, if I was a football coach, what I say, especially if you're a skill guy, because I was an offensive lineman, that always made me jealous because I would think, if I was a skilled player, there's no way I wouldn't play because I would always be on special teams. Like I would make a special teams, but as a big guy, we don't have that option. Well, we got PAT, that's cool, but we don't have the other. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes they do the punt shield. Every now and then they'll let you. Some teams do offensive lineman or do the punt shield. You see what I'm saying? But I don't even know if they still do the shields really like that anymore. But yeah. But if you're skilled, I think
remember they broke the rules against the wedges, so you can't break wedges anymore. Remember you used to have a breaker for that.
Yeah.
They don't let you do that stuff anymore. It's kind of weird, man. The modern game is a lot different from the way I came up and played. Like it's not the same. It's definitely not the same. My guy Eagles fan said, put Steen at let Jurgen see how he goes. I got a feeling that's going to spark a lot of conversation now. Vincent says Steen has that big bottom that Stout loves from his guards. You got to add a pause there, Vincent. The ability to move and still have his power in run blocking. I agree with you, man. Eagles fan said they extended Opeta. Sue Opeta, athletically gifted dude as well, Eagles fan. Really athletically gifted guy.
Okay, all right.
He played a very important role as a reserve player in 2021, but really didn't get time in 22. I was a little shocked at kind of how buried he got. I mean, interested to see how he does, Eagles fan. Sorry, one above all. I clicked on it twice. My bad, man. Can't let a second rounder sit 2 years in a row. Let him compete. I definitely think he's going to compete. How it works its way out ultimately, I don't know. Plus, you want to put a rookie who only played tackle at right guard on the Super Bowl ready roster. If you can handle the job, I'm saying one above all to me, because you're dealing with the Super Bowl roster. If he can handle the job, I'm going to give it to him. Sorry, guys. I'm reading through. Oh, yeah. We're going back and forth here, man. They're going back and forth and back and forth. All right. We got some contention about whether or not you sit a guy 2 years in a row that was a second-round pick. I think it's an interesting place to pick up, and then we'll get into our fourth picks. What's your thoughts on that? Like, it is a little bit of a problem. I kind of get where one above all is coming from, which is like, man, it's hard to justify dude sitting 2 years in a row as a second-round pick. But at the same time, it's like he is going to be the future at center. Like, I think we all know
that. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like the Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre situation. I feel like I get it. I get it, but he'll play center for 10 years first, guys. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's literally how I feel. I know he don't want to sit, but he'll be fine. And the excuse is that we have a Hall of Famer at center. So that's literally an excuse. Now, I get wanting to play him, but I'm not going to play him just to play him. He got to be the best for the scheme. He got to be the best for the scheme. This year, he has to be the best for the scheme to get back to Super Bowl. I ain't gonna just put him now, like you said, Gate. They probably will definitely, because he is a second rounder, maybe for his feelings or try to keep the locker room. They might try to give him the nod, Like it's yours to lose, maybe. But I
see.
I just
That's
don't
how I
know that.
felt. Yeah, that's how I kind of felt about it. Is like I'm not saying the young man's going to secure the job because I do think there's competition there. There's a guy that's been in the system now for a few years, that's out there in Jack Driscoll. But you got the complication of Jack Driscoll is a really good 6 man, and do you really want to mess that up?
Yeah.
At the same time, Tyler Steen is a rookie coming in through. It's going to be tough, but he's got the idealized size, and I think that guy, once he steps in, I think he's going to be a player, man. And to be fair, Landon Dickerson, boy, once we got him in the left guard, he definitely took the left guard fast.
And then Landon came right in. Landon came right in. Now I'm not saying this is what Stoutland's thinking, but Landon came right in. Just have that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Landon and Smitty came in the same class, right? Or am I mistaken?
Landon was 21's class.
Him and Smitty both smarted. Him and Smitty both started. Rookies.
Yeah. And I got to be honest with you, man. Landon's going to be high on my list, man, because I think that dude I think he's an all-pro in the making. I think that guy's going to be.
He's truly enough. This offensive line that we're seeing, we're just going to have to really appreciate it because we're not even talking about Cam Jurgens possibly being a Pro Bowl. He's I want to say all-pro talent, but he looks really good. He looked really good in the preseason when he played. He just did. And I'm ready to see him again this year in the preseason. But Cam Jurgens looks amazing when he plays. He really does. We're going to see 5+ all-pros. Mulata has the potential. He hasn't peaked yet at all.
I hear you showing off. He says, definitely don't want another Dillard situation. We will see. I mean, to be fair, Dillard did have his opportunity to win the job, and that went sideways. He did get an opportunity, but he didn't secure it. He got beat out. He turned out to be really good football player. Mulata's that dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with my number 4, man. I'm gonna get to my number 4. Number 4. Oof. This is tough, man, because I went DeAndre Swift 5. My number 4, I'm gonna switch up position groups because we went on the O-line for a minute. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. My number 4 guy is gonna be a guy that I think he's gonna eclipse 1,000 yards, I think, this year, finally. This is a guy that impacts our passing game. This is a guy that impacts our run blocking game. Dallas Goedert.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dallas Goedert is an incredibly productive guy when he's in the game. He's that dude, man. Hurts seems to really like to use Dallas Goedert as a safety blanket. And he definitely feels like his safety blanket at times.
Yeah, I had Dallas at 3.
See,
I had Dallas at 3. You feel me?
When we did the defense, man, we ended up having 3, 2, and 1 was the exact same player, so we had to switch it.
Yeah,
we had to start switching the order so it wasn't boring.
Yeah, I had Dallas 3, but number 4, I'll go AJ or Smitty. I know it's just one person, but I'm gonna go with probably AJ because I feel like I know what I'm gonna get out of Smitty for sure. I know this sounds like if AJ balled so hard last year, I don't think people really know to do that on that just level the way he did again. And he still left some meat on the bone because he had some drops. Like he still had things in his game that he can polish up. But I just think that we really need to recognize the offseason work that he would have to have put in to do better than what he did. And I think it's possible. But I definitely got him at 4. I probably we need him to be that again. I can say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need him to be the number 1. Well, him and Smitty, I feel like 1A, 1B, but we need AJ to be that a dominant outside.
They're going to be, man, that core, bro. That wide receiver core is something special.
It is.
And we haven't even, I wouldn't even call it like completely rounded out, man. Like it's still not even rounded out because like, man, like there's still some ways to go. Vincent, you got to keep in mind his rookie season. He had the ACL tear. He was coming back from. He was and started in 13. Man, he was pretty much right away, kind of thrown into the fire. Man, within the first month of the season, he was in the fire.
Yeah.
As a starter. All right, I gotta go 3. I'm gonna have to say my 3 is AJ. I think A.J. Brown's my 3.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'll say A.J. Brown's my 3 is because A.J. Brown's the guy that I think adds the special sauce to the offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone wants to talk about like, oh, well, you know, you guys had to go out for Jalen Hurts. It's like we added 2 guys, A.J. Brown and then a 4th wide receiver last year. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
and that's how much of a difference he made, though. That's how much he mattered. Yeah.
He had the ability to run in-breaking routes and use that body, use that frame to beat people up on those in-breaking routes.
He was consistent. It wasn't streaky.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't worried about it.
Yeah,
and one thing I can say this year, when the ball was in the air, it wasn't a time when I thought we wasn't going to come down with it. Regardless, when Jalen threw the ball, you know when you watch certain people when the ball get thrown, you're like, I don't know where it might go. When Jalen threw the ball, I said, this is probably completion. I had complete confidence and that whoever he was throwing the ball to had the ability to get the ball.
Oh, yeah.
That means
his ability to catch, I knew he was good at that. I didn't realize how good A.J. Brown was at that vertical stretch play. Like, that dude is legit.
Legit.
I'm old enough to remember the T.O. years. Oh. And it really it just collapsed and went to hell in a handbasket fast. But, man, he had the special feeling to him that I had with T.O. Like, you coming down with the football. You knew it.
And like, you get the ball, you don't know what might happen. AJ got that talent to where he might not have the fastest breakaway speed, but he's going to have yards after the catch. He's going to have, and when he catches the ball, you're going to be like, wow.
And it's crazy because one of the big name guys probably won't make my list, but he's definitely basically off the best player. But I got to tell you, man, like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, I got a feeling the games are going to be closer this year. I don't think we're going to have 500 absolutely dominating everybody on the schedule by 10 plus points.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like there's going to be a more statistically significant season for Jalen. And I also think that that's going to bleed out to AJ staying productive. I don't know if AJ is going to be almost 1,500 yards again. I mean, it's hard to predict that, but I think he's definitely over 1,000 yards again.
Around 12 or better,
probably. I think Devontae's definitely going to. I think he might lose yards this year. That's my sneaky suspicion. Devontae Smith might. And then I think Dallas Goedert, if he's staying on the field for 15 plus games, he's crossing 1,000 yards receiving, in my opinion. I think there's going to be 3 guys over 1,000 yards in this offense.
Right. Same here.
There's be a lot of reckoning from a lot of fan bases that said this.
They don't understand in Dallas Goedert as well. The reason why I had Dallas Goedert at 3, you just say your 3 was A.J. Brown, right? The reason why Dallas Goedert, I'm telling you, was my 3 is because the tight end position alone, in just my opinion, is probably the 3rd most important position in the offense, just because all the perimeter runs in our offense, he's going to be the lead blocker for most of them. Most of the runs that we do run, like I say, he's the lead blocker for it. He's a security blanket. He's the one of the main guys in everything we do. Let's say it like that. He's a great misdirection for a distraction. It's all different things that we use him for. And last year, I was feeling like if he would have stayed healthy, he would have been a top 3 tight end. And just having Dallas Goedert there, the screen game, screen game looked completely different when he wasn't there. All the little tight end screens, all those things was completely gone when he left. And I just remember watching this play, I'm like, wow, our playbook do look different without him. It looks different without him. And
when you get in the red zone and you're sitting there in the red zone against the Eagles and there's no way you've got to take this guy out of it. And like you cannot just let him just sit back and go, I could walk it in. I can just walk it in if I want. Like you can't do that. Yeah. So you have to keep it. You got Dallas Goedert and you got A.J. Brown. Now you're adding DeAndre Swift or Kenneth Gainwell in the red zone on top of it, who can run the ball and catch the ball in that red zone area. Like, it's going to be tough to freaking defend down there. Like, not to mention the offensive line, they could just lean on you.
Yeah, when in doubt, we can run it out. When in doubt, we can run it out. Hand it off.
This offense is tough to stop. Like, that's the thing that makes me laugh about people that are really down on the RPO stuff. Like, and I'm not talking about Eagle fans, not about because they'll say things like, oh, it's all RPO, it's all RPO, it's all college, it's all college. And it's like, first off, Patrick Mahomes runs that college RPO stuff. Okay.
Yes.
Daniel Jones just had his most statistically, significant season based off of it. Like, you might want to see the dudes who are running these RPOs and how effective, straightforward. Like, Jalen Hurts is almost impossible to defend here. You've got to be able to match our physicality at the line of scrimmage. Okay. You have to be able to get one in the box, plus one in the box, or at least even in the box with Jalen Hurts, because he's going to manipulate the box on you. So you got to get even in the box with us. Even if you got a great defensive line, you better have really, really strong man coverage corners who can get physical at the line of scrimmage and disrupt the routes. Mm-hmm. I think there's a reason why the second game around, Washington in particular gave us trouble. And I still think that they escaped that football game, if I'm being real. But they did give us fits, because while I don't think their secondary is the greatest, it's physical as crap. They're tall, they're long.
Good ball players.
Mm-hmm. And that D line in the middle of the defense it's sick. That's a good D line. Like
top five interior D line in the NFL.
Like, I think there's a reason why that team in particular gave us a fit the second time around. Mm-hmm. And like, I look at it and I'm like, man, like, you get Jalen where he's just letting you do whatever he wants you to do. That's a problem, man. Like, this offense can kill you with 1,000 little cuts if you want one big explosive play. If that's how you want it.
And anytime I hear the RPO slander, especially from a quarterback, I just feel as if we really understand football. He's making a read. Jalen Hurts make a read every single play. Every
pre and post snap, by the way.
Pre and post. He's using his mind more than most quarterbacks, but they don't see it that way, because unless it's like, oh, I'm reading the DB or I'm reading the safety of the corner, they don't understand it's not always that. Jalen Hurts has to make a decision.
Well, that's why I kept saying in 2021, when everyone would come at me and they'd be like, oh, he can't read defenses, when they would say that crap in 2021 to me about Jalen. I said, it's more complex than that, man. It's not so much that he can't read defenses. He's not comfortable with leverage right now. Mm-hmm. He's not reading the leverage of the corners that well. He's not seeing
it well. That's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Once he gets comfortable there, good luck. Because man, I knew he was going to be good on 2022, and I made that video. You contributed to that video during the offseason in 2022.
Yeah.
Like, I knew he was going to be good, but I didn't know I would have doubled, tripled, freaking quadrupled down had I known what was about to happen. Like, I didn't know we were going to go to that level.
Let me tell you why I used to say, I said it on video also, let me tell you why I had the faith, though. He took care of the football. Even when we wasn't the best, he wasn't just sloppy with the football. So I said, okay, at least for my quarterback, at least we know he's intelligent to know how a bad play should go. So if the play goes wrong, okay, we're good there. He ain't just doing something crazy and the ball's turning over. It's like, all right, he can use his legs. Cool. I had full faith. I said, at bare minimum, he'll at least be a great serviceable quarterback that don't turn the ball over and is athletic. At the bare minimum, he's not a turnover type of guy. That's just not in him. That's never really been his thing. He's not going to have just the ridiculous amount of turnovers. And that is so important. I don't think people really value that enough as well, how good he takes care of the football.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's crazy is that, just to illustrate the point, once he, like, what we were talking about was him being comfortable with what he was seeing. He saw the coverage. It's about he does have the leverage on the corner. I need to put the ball here.
And how quick it is, because it's a faster game.
Exactly. Once he got comfortable with that, this guy turned into the highest rated passer from the pocket in 1 year. That should tell you what you need to know right there, that's the level of that fast.
Yeah.
That within 1 year, he became the highest graded player from the pocket.
He's phenomenal. He'll be fine for us. He'll be really good. Even if he stays. I tell people that's what's so crazy. Of course, he had things he can get better. Even if he just stays, we're fine.
Yeah.
And I really think, now I know that ain't like the attitude to have as a football player, but I'm just talking about from a fan from a different perspective, just looking in. If he does not, if he's just as good as what he was last year, we'll be in decent shape.
Yeah. And like what stuck out to me was like everyone, because like Mike was like, man, he's like, when I started to pull back, bro, okay, you were doubling down on him. And I said, it was in the press conferences. It was the things that he was saying. He was illustrating to me. He was seeing it.
Yeah.
He knew that he had to get better at trusting
and get comfortable because he didn't want to do the turnover.
Yeah, I'm like, this dude's going to get it. He's getting it. Like, you could just tell, like, if you played the position and you understand what he's saying, it's very obvious to say, like, oh, like, yeah, man, he's getting it. He knows that, like, okay, number one, let's be real, the Rager thing did not help. That man was just not in position for the majority of those throws. I was like, I don't know what this man's doing, but he's giving me a headache. And like, but then, like, you could just tell in the press conferences, and he was fessing up, like, look, I didn't expect them to do this. They did that. And you know what? I've got to trust what I'm seeing. This ball's got to get out of my hands. You could feel it. You could feel it was about to happen. Yo, long way. What's up, man? He gave us a $2 super chat. Appreciate you, bro. He said the running backs are getting at least 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think with Jalen Hurts affecting the box and a player's exposed Swift, even if it's Penny, even if it's Gainwell, I just think that Jalen Hurts makes it easy.
I believe now the threat of him running will actually save him because he doesn't have to run as much. Now that he showed that he can run, I think his running yards will go down this year, Jalen Hurts. I think our running backs should get more carries. I think just having the threat of it, just having the threat of him being able to run is going to be enough for the defensive coaches already on their mind. So he's not even going to have to do much. I'm sure of course, in certain circumstances, we got to get stuff done. We'll take care of it, but
taking one player and you're going to take him basically out of the box because he's going to have to play contain.
Yeah,
he's going to have to contain on Jalen.
Going to have to, And
if Jalen sees you're doing that, even if you first or second series with it, he's going to see it. They're going to bring it down in the film. Girl, can you give me a second here? They're going to see it on film, and then they're going to come after you. He's going to know what you're doing, and that counter punch is because he's coming for you on that.
It's looming.
What's up, Preach? My guy Preach said, speak it. Vincent said, Coach, off topic for a minute. If the Eagles quarterback factory, why didn't they look into Titan to develop and to back up Hurts since styles are similar? I think it has a lot to do with where they were picking in the third round. I don't think that they were willing to make that pick where it took
third round.
And Nakobe Dean still being on the board, being a position and having a guy that they had rated so freaking highly still being available. I think that they just went after it there, Vincent. I think it's my opinion why they did it. Willis, I think, is a very good developmental guy, though. I think there's a lot of talent there, a lot of raw physical talent. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get it to the show. Cody, what's good, man? How you doing, buddy? Mike, how you doing, bro? We hanging in there, man. We hanging in there on a Wednesday night, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coach, I hope the McNabb effects don't happen to Jalen. Please let play his game and don't make him a pocket passer. I think that they're going to approach it differently because I think the coaching is different around the player. And then I think McNabb took a lot of that. I think McNabb wanted to prove something when he didn't need to. And to be fair, I think they took way too long to put weapons around McNabb. Like, Donovan carried that football team for a ridiculously long time. I mean, when you go back and you look at James Thrash and freaking Todd Pinkston, come on, man. Like, I mean, that's not fair to that young man. That's the way you try to set up a championship team. Like, they were doing too much, bro. Doing too much and too little at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't okay, man. They robbed that, man. All right, where we at? Your number 3?
Yeah, I went with Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert. All right, my number 2. This is tough, man, because I don't know if I'm going to put someone on the offensive line.
You know where I'm going.
My number 2. Man, this is tough, bro. This is so tough. I think I got to go Landon, man. Landon Dickerson, my number 2. This guy is top 5 rated. He's a top 5 graded out player in pass protection and run grade. I mean, this dude's nasty. He's a freaking bull down there.
He's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't love the pick when it first happened because I was shocked like everybody. Like, man, why are we taking out offensive lineman again? But then, like, I went in, I watched the man. I got a little bit more familiar with him. Jalen kind of tipped me off. It was like, yo, Steve, when I say this dude's going to be good, this dude's going to be good. Like,
Yeah.
this dude is going to be really good. And
Mhm.
I started watching him a little bit, and I said, honestly, I'm concerned about the injuries, but from a talent perspective, yeah, that dude's way better than where he got drafted at.
Oh, way better. What's so crazy is I remember when Brandon Brooks packed it up, I was like, man, we just really lost an all-pro guard. Like, and to have another one come right in is just so refreshing. An earth mover like that. It's very rare. I don't know if Eagles fans understand players like Landon is rare, not good offensive linemen. Good offensive linemen are good offensive linemen out there, but the play style that he play with is rare. To be so good at pass pro with it is rare. Because sometimes you got guys that can run block all day or movers all day, but they're a liability in the pass game. That's not really him. He's not a liability in the pass game either. He's up there with the Quentin Nelsons and them. He's really on par.
Nasty.
He's nasty.
He's really nasty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like what's the dude's name from Cleveland? Joe Batani.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can't remember the dude from Cleveland. It's like Joe Batani.
Yeah.
The dude from Atlanta's he plays right guard for them. I can't think of his name, but he's another guy he's a pretty good player as well. But yeah, I mean, you got Joe Tooney. Joe Tooney's a good fool.
Leonard.
Everything down on me, guys. It keeps pulling it down where I can't see anything. But it's tough because like you can't put everybody on this list, and like Devontae's a dog, and that dude like he's going to lead us in. I think he's going to lead us in receiving, but I just think that other guys are going to make it happen. That pass protection, Jalen's ability to make it easy on guys, and then you just add the talent of Devontae on top of it, man. I think Devontae's on that. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to be another guy that make this list for me. That dude, bro. He's that dude, man.
He is, and people don't. I hope and I pray the fan base, especially. I really hope and pray that we appreciate Smitty and give him all the flowers like he deserves. Because I don't want to hear this wide receiver 2 mess. Like I get it, and I get maybe just from the eye test, and if you don't know much about it, but if you know the game of football, Smitty one of them. He's a football player for real. He's a real football player. He blocks, he runs routes, he catches the football. He's a very important piece. And I really, that's why I said him / AJ, because to me, we need both. That's what takes us over. Now, the good thing about it is I do believe we're good enough to, if one goes down, I'm confident enough in our offense to make it work now. I feel like it's different now because we're a little bit older, we're a little bit more mature. So if you was to take one away, we'll still be relatively decent, especially with Dallas Goedert coming along now. Because when we had only Smitty, then Dallas Goedert was still younger. Jalen Hurts was still younger. I believe now we got into a situation where Smith or AJ had to miss a couple of games. I feel a little bit more comfortable because they grow into it more. But what takes us over the top, is having both of them at that level. That just takes us completely over the top. And I would have my number 2 is Jason Kelce, I would say. I would probably go. You said your 2 was Landon Dickerson, right?
Yeah, it was Landon.
Yeah, I would probably for 2. I'll probably go Jason Kelce. I'm biased. Now, when it comes to importance, I ain't gonna lie. I do feel as if we could always put in the backup and we'll be fine. But Super Bowl run, you need that. You need that center. You need that Hall of Fame. I'm not going to say we don't need the Hall of Fame center. So having Kelce in the huddle, just talking about a peace of mind for the team, I'm sure it brings. I'm sure appreciate it, man. The peace of mind alone.
Yeah, he's a dog, man. He's definitely a dog. Like he's Kelce, man. Like Kelce's just like he makes it so hard to say anything negatively about him. Like he's such a freaking good player. Like he just is. Like
great locker room guy. He's a great leader. Yeah.
Oof. Ooh, Young Long Way with the $2 super chat. And that's a tough question, man. He says, does Quez make the starting lineup this year? Tough one, man. I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to give my reasoning here. Okay. I'm not saying he cannot be beaten out. I think Oz can beat him out. If he's slipping, Oz might steal his job. I'm not going to lie. I think that Quez gives you is spacing on the field. Because he's got that vertical element, you cannot just leave him unaccounted for. And he creates spacing for everybody else. Those vertical slots do a lot to give you spacing on the football field. So because of that, I'm going to say yes. The question will be, though, is like, do they start doing some weird stuff to minimize the snap count? Do they use more multiple tight end sets? Do they use more multiple running back sets? How many snaps does Oz get, even if he is the fourth? Maybe they're way more willing to give Oz targets and snaps. I mean, that's a tough one, man. Where are you at on this one?
I got Quez. Let me tell you, Quez upside is there. I got faith in him. I have faith in Quez. I'm a stick it out. I can say that I could just know that he's a great player. And when he was on for us. And we also got to realize that the type of player he is, and to have less reps and less, he's not what he was asked to do. He's a professional. He should do. But I have full faith in Quez doing another year of that guy. He'll take better advantage of his opportunities. I think him trying to find the rhythm of being the third guy last year. I'm not saying it hurt him, but I think it was kind of awkward for him. It was something new. It was new for all of them.
Yeah.
I think this year, knowing what he has to do.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, it was new for him.
It was new for him. So I believe this year he will be way more comfortable. And I do believe he's just the Super Bowl and the Washington game. I believe that's on his mind, just to be honest. I just know it is. There's no way the Super Bowl and Washington game is on his mind. And he knows that we feel as if now, especially in today's league, when you see people like Justin Herbert, got Josh Palmer's, you got these number 3 receivers that are just glorified, really number 2s, to be honest, working on being number 1s in the future. Is like, man, Quez, we need you to make them catches. That's just being honest.
That's the tough part. Is like, I felt like he was actually a really, really good contested catch guy in 21. Like, he was surprisingly better at it than I thought he would be. And then, like, he had such a disappointing 22 season when it came to that aspect of it. And it's like, man, he was elevating over guys, taking the football away. I was kind of shocked that he regressed so far in 1 year with that. And it's got to be concentration. It's got to be something that went on with him in terms of the concentration effort there.
Yeah.
And like, he's very talented. The dude is super fast. I mean, he just absolutely takes the top off of defense. Like, if you sleep on him, it's going in the end zone. Like, he's going to burn right by you. But
I want to try him more too. I ain't gonna lie. I want to go deep more this year with him. We did last year at times, but I want to. And we're going to be in a lot closer games, so I'm not even going to know if it will be at the point where we can risk that all the time. But I can know personally, I wanted to take shots with Quez. It got to be a point to where when the playoffs come around and it gets to the second half, they have to worry about Quez. Now, does that mean we got to go to him? No, but we got to add that for the defense to have to worry about.
Yeah.
Like that, and that changes the whole element of a defense when you got somebody who can blow the top off like that. And they're watching him now on third down, like, man, I got to hurry up and make sure. Or second down, if it's second and medium, are they going to take a strike right now with Quez, or are they going to take a shot?
That's part of what we said too, is about, like, if you try to go man up on us and you're trying to kick in the box and trying to get even to +1 if you can get +1 in the box to shut down Jalen.
Action.
Offense can do. You get a guy like Quez, bro, he spaces you out. Like, and all of a sudden, Quez has got your nickel corner 5 yards behind him, and you're going, oh, like, we're in trouble, man.
You hear that roar, and you hear that, the fans start screaming, the ball gets thrown in the
air. Yeah. Like, that's the tough part. It's like the potential's there with Quez, but I'm not going to lie. It got frustrating last year, no doubt about it. It definitely did, man.
And I loved Quez. I'm a huge fan of Quez, but I can say last year, ending the season, I was thinking it would be nice to have another number 3. And I don't want to say that not believing in Quez, but I can say we're going to have to get better there, whether it's Quez getting better or somebody else. But I do believe he can get better. I'm going to say it like that. I don't think I'm good with Quez. I trust in Quez. I definitely don't want to talk down on him. But I know we got to get better at number 3 wide receiver. And I think it can be him, but we do got to get better there. That's
absolutely. Yeah, whether it's Quez, whether it's Oz, whether it's we have to solve this again in the future. Somebody's got to be better. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It has to be better because, like, being able to space teams like that, being able to put that kind of pressure on them, it's really important. It's what can set us apart, to be honest.
And also with me,
go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. Also with me seeing Justin Herbert with Josh Palmer, I know I'm talking about him, but I really watch Palmer like, wow, like you're such a real threat. A real threat. And I know when defenses watch you, like, all right now, especially when Mike Williams will be out sometime or Keenan Allen missing time, seeing him just step right in and make big catches. I'm like, yeah, that's a number 3 really wanting to be a number 1.
Yeah. But hopefully, man. Hopefully we can recapture some of that.
I believe in Quez. Quez, I'm a huge fan of his game. I like his style. I'm a huge fan of Quez's game. I think he's a great football player. I think he can step it up. And if he plays at his potential, we're good, guys.
If Quez returns to like what he was doing in 2021, this offense is so freaking explosive.
Yeah.
You can get killed in any way you want. Any way you want to lose a football game, we got you. I need to be honest about it. The biggest question on offense is the play calling. Will the offense be affected by losing Steichen's play calling? The offense improved when Steichen started to call the plays. Steichen's a good guy, man. He's a really, really good play caller. I thought he had a really good feel for situational game stuff. I got to tell you, Lonely B, I'm excited to see Brian Johnson in this role. I'm excited to see what he does.
I want to do fans know the history on Brian Johnson. First of all, this is an ex-player. I'm pretty sure he played quarterback at that. He played quarterback. Yeah. He played quarterback at Utah, was an animal at Utah. He was an OC in college by the age of 24. Man knows what he's doing.
Coached a lot of dudes too, man.
Coached a lot of guys. He knows what he's doing. Now that's probably the best.
The dude that played at Houston and then transferred to Miami. I can't think of his name anymore. He's a really good dual threat player himself. Then he coached what's his name? The guy at Florida that ended up going to Tampa Bay, who's fighting for the starting spot there, to Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's got a long track record, man. He's got a track record.
I think I could just be going off. My gut feeling is he's going to knock it out the park. I hope that we don't have to find. I hope that we don't have to find another OC after next year.
See, that's my problem. Is I feel like we might be in a situation where 2 to 3 years down the road,
he's gonna
move on to a head coaching gig, and then we're gonna be
the way these guys are getting these head coaching jobs. We go to the Super Bowl this year, he might be gone that quick. I'm telling you, and he's a quarterback guy, and you're an OC on a young up and coming quarterback dual threat. That's what the owners want. Oh yeah, we need a guy like that.
If Jalen Hurts ends up throwing for over 4,000 yards, ends up having 5,000 total yards, and the Eagles win the Super Bowl, he's probably gone.
He's gone. You see what I'm saying? He's
probably gone.
He's probably gone because now it's proven okay, this is a whole new situation. They just did it. Yeah, he's gone. I hope we don't lose, because I'm not going to lie. We had a good safety net with him after we lost Shane. But if we lose him, I don't know if we got anybody else we can just pull another one of him out. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe there is, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely crazy, man. There's a lot of talent. On them some guys, man. They definitely did. And they got some guys in the wings too. They definitely got some guys in the wings here for this offense.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to your question, bro. My bad, man. 2015, the green light came on in Kelsey's head after the rumor of him being released. He wasn't. He played 14, and then he put on some weight, increasing basically by 10 pounds, and he lit it up ever since then. Yeah, I remember those rumors too. That was Chip Kelly's crazy crap. But yeah, man, he definitely stepped in, and the last 6-7. He's been special over the last 6-7 years. Vincent said the O-line guru moves Smitty inside, line Quez on the outside, and we have a number 2 corner on him on a go route. Look out. You got a nickel corner on freaking Smitty, I want to see. I want to see
Oh
what
my
happens.
goodness.
I want to see
Oh
what
my
Smitty does
goodness.
to a
Smitty, that's what people are not realizing. Smitty.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh
Smitty
my.
about to tie that nickel corner in a knot. Like,
What Smitty's going to do this year, I think, is going to be disrespectful. Last year he warmed up. You could tell he warmed up. He came in hot and he was warm. You could just tell by the way he played. The first year he played as a rookie, he was balling, but he was warm last year. He gonna be hot this year. He gonna be hot
you
this
give
year,
if you give Smitty free releases off the line of scrimmage, he's going to eat you alive. It's hard
man.
enough to jam that guy. He's 160 pounds, and it's almost impossible to jam him. like,
Mm.
like
And people don't realize the football. I see the
yeah,
football play he is, the physical catching. He throws his body around. He plays like John Moran at wide receiver. He's very
yeah,
aggressive
absolutely.
for a wide receiver. Although like he's a great technician. Talking about the way he plays, the way he blocks, the way he goes after the ball. He's very aggressive for
My
his
guy,
frame.
Yo Long Way with another super chat, $5, man. We appreciate you, man. He said, do y'all think the wide receivers and the tight end are going to have back for the offense this year? That's a really good question. I already said that I think that Goddard's going to have 1,000-yard season personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think DeAndre Swift, you don't bring that type of guy in here unless you plan on getting the running backs involved in the passing game. That's the type of guy you get the ball to in space. That's what he is. I definitely think that Gainwell, for whatever weird reason, Gainwell's got these weird up and down streaks, man. But when he's on, Gainwell's like a wide receiver out there routing you up. He's like a slot receiver routing you up. They got some stuff from the running back where they could hurt you. They really could hurt you from the running back spot in the passing game. The other thing I'll say here is that I'm curious of what happens at tight end. I don't know what's going to happen between Dan Arnold, Grant Calcaterra.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I
going to
wondered.
be an interesting one.
Grant got to show up. I'm not saying show up because he looked good. There's a lot of positives to take away from Grant, especially in the pass game. I think he'll
Athletic.
be really. That's why I want to know when he said which one's going to have a bigger impact. I think the wide receiver and the running back, we're going to have that show up every week, obviously. But if Grant Calcaterra can come in and be a real threat as well, that's a whole completely ball game. That's a different ball game there. That's a whole completely different ball game.
Yeah.
Because now we're getting into the run heavy sets and we got both of the tight ends in. And who knows what we're doing if we can get to that point and we're that comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Calcaterra has that potential, though, in my opinion. I think he has.
I think he does too, man. I think he's one of the more talented guys. Eagles fan said Trask. Yeah, Kyle Trask. The other guy I was thinking of was De'Aaron King. De'Aaron King played at Houston, transferred to Miami. So you got Dak Prescott, De'Aaron King, Kyle Trask, and Jalen Hurts have all worked with him. And he worked with a whole host of guys before Dak too. I mean, I'm excited, man. I mean, no one knows how Brian Johnson's going to do ultimately, but I got a good feeling, man. I just have a really good feeling that he's going to be not just good, but like really exceptionally good, especially with the relationship he's got with Jalen Hurts.
I just don't know much about it. I just really do. And I know Stoutland has a lot to do with the run game scheme, but I just hope that he doesn't get – a lot of times I see sometimes coaches just get away from the basic zone trap. I hope he doesn't get too creative in the run game. Everything ain't got to be – sometimes just do a basic handoff. And I know sometimes coaches try to overthink it to me, in my opinion, sometimes. I just wonder, with him being a newer coach, is he going to be able to attack in the four and say, let's just hand it off? Or is he going to have a new play up his sleeve every single time? You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it's
you worry about the prove it to me early on in the season. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm just curious to see that because we're playing a lot of good things.
I think Nick is better than people think. Mm-hmm. I think Nick's probably a better play caller than people think, but I think he got caught with that. I think he was guilty of that, of prove it to me. Prove it that you can operate an offense. I think he got caught early in the year doing that, and I think Steichen came in and said, man, I don't care. They already criticized the heck out of me with the Chargers, so I'm just going to do what I think this team's
he knew. He knows it's like to. He was like, nah, we're just going to need to do it to win. And that was my biggest critique that year because I tell everybody, although we made the playoffs that year and we lost to Tampa, I tell everybody we was a 10-win football team easily, bare minimum. If we would have just ran the ball every single play, we would have won 10 games. Like it was. it was a point that we was giving football games away because I think sometimes we was trying too much.
Exactly.
And I just know next year with the type of quarterbacks we're playing, and I think the games will be closer, like you say, next year. I think we just got to make sure the easy layups, we take them layups.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, because I look at Jalen Hurts and like people are asking me like if I thought he would exceed 4,500 yards passing, and I'm like, I can't say what somebody will or won't do.
Yeah.
I will say that in an ideal situation, that's not happening because you're icing the games away. That's not what this offense is predicated on. We're not here to pad stats. However, if you're in more tightly contested games and he's creeping towards or getting to 4,500 yards passing, you're probably talking about 5,000 total yards.
Yeah.
You're talking about an offense that's going to be we're going to be all over every highlight film.
Now I can say this. We can. I think there's our best games as Philly is when Jalen Hurts is almost at 200 passing yards. He's like at 180, and we're already up by 21 points. That's how it usually is.
Thank you. The freaking Giants playoff game. Everyone keeps trying to tell me that Jalen Hurts didn't play well in the playoffs, and I'm showing the tweet showing the details of the young man with 70% completion rate. Well over 100 yards. Had like 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and like 129 passer rating. Like, what are you talking about? We were winning 28-0.
And we can run the ball.
What do you want to do? Throw for another 200 yards on the second half of touchdowns?
For what?
Yeah, like
that's what I be wondering. For what? Like when we're up, I tell anybody. Now, don't get me wrong. What Jalen showed last year is he can be the guy that throw for 400 yards in a game. He can do that. He has that potential, and that is nice to see. That if it gets down in the third quarter, 3 minutes left, and it's 28 up, we playing against Herbert or somebody. Okay, we can get in the shootout. I'm not worried. I feel comfortable. I know my quarterback can take care of that. But when we're at our best is when he's under 200 yards passing, and it's going into the fourth quarter, and he probably run the ball for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Some of these dudes worried about style points and meaningless stats.
It don't matter.
It's like that's the thing that bothers me is like you can go by stats and say, well, stats anyone can see, we can compare them, but it's like, yes, but there's still context.
You got to watch the game
out of those things. Like tell me the score differential when you're doing that. Tell me these other things that would correlate to how a person is producing. And one of the best ways, I know certain fan base doesn't like this, but one of the best ways to know that is tell me your performance versus winning football teams. Tell me your performance versus playoff teams. Tell me your performance versus DVOA top-rated defense, top 12 defenses, and tell me your performance versus DVOA top-rated, top 12 pass defenses. Show me what you're doing versus the upper third of the league, okay? Show me situational stuff, right? Yep. Show me what you're doing in situations that matter. And then I think you get a feel for actually how good the player is.
Yeah.
Like you have to filter. Like everyone always asks me, like, how do you scout quarterbacks coming in from college? Show me what they did versus pressure. Yeah. There's never a guarantee from college, guys, but show me how they reacted versus pressure. Those guys who tended to be pretty good versus pressure seem to have a fighting chance in the NFL.
Yeah. That makes sense. I can see how that makes a lot of sense because, especially with NFL, that's probably the biggest thing, picking up blitzes and knowing all these different things and knowing how to get the ball out fast. If you don't look comfortable in college, I can almost make the assumption you might not be that comfortable when it's even faster.
Exactly.
And the
learning curve is going to be extreme for you. And people like to make fun of these guys that are dual threat, but you know what happens when you're a dual threat quarterback? You buy yourself time.
Always.
You're buying yourself time.
Literally.
Both physically in terms of identifying an open target, but also you're buying yourself time in terms of like, okay, I have time. If I can beat this blitz, if I can beat this pressure, you know what? I'm getting time to start learning how to beat this in other ways too. Yeah. Because now I'm not getting pulled for making silly mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm not turning the football over. I'm not doing those other things other quarterbacks are doing because they can't play off schedule like me.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants to knock an off schedule quarterback, and I get it. At some point, you need to be on schedule. You need to beat pressure. But just not making mistakes about it. Being able to break you down on 3rd and 15 because you went man coverage and turned your back to me. And I just took off and got 16 yards.
So valuable. It's so valuable.
There's nothing more deflating to a defense.
Nothing.
You're completely deflated.
You
did everything right. You had sticky coverage. You got free on the blitz, and this guy shook you out of your cleats and picked up 16 yards.
Guys, there's nothing worse as a player than being on that sideline, and it's like a 3rd and 13. It's the end of the top of the fourth quarter. It's a tight game, and the quarterback He's just in the backfield, and he scrambles out, and you just watch him run for all them free yards. All them free yards is running, and he gets the first. It's the most depressing. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a gut punch. It's like a body shot. It's like a body shot. I'll say like that. It's like a body shot.
Yeah, and it's tough, man, because like the speed of the game is so much different between the two. There is, and depending on where you play, you can maybe make some subtle arguments about the speed of the game. I mean, obviously, if you're playing in the SEC, you're getting a pretty good idea of what the game speed's going to be like, to be honest. But it's still not apples for apples. I mean, it's still, it's a faster game at the NFL level. It's, to me, like when I look at quarterbacks and I see a guy that can break you down off the ball, it's like that guy's going to have a chance. Yeah. He's going to have a chance to develop. And I'll tell you, I know people hate this guy because he keeps getting compared to Jalen Hurts. Justin Fields interests me. The only problem I have with Justin Fields is I don't trust the coaching staff around him.
It's so ugly over there. But Justin Fields, his potential, like once again, and I used to want to go on rants. I promise you, that's what really wanted me to start going on YouTube, because my coaching rants, I would just be like, I don't think people realize how many people are coaching in the NFL that are doing a horrible job. I'm not even trying to say it like.
How long did it take the NFL to figure out how to use dual threat quarterbacks?
Oh my goodness. And it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And it's not rocket science. Like, and how long did they fight it for? How long did they fight it for? Like, how long did they fight it? And even to the, like, even it's just certain things like I just don't like, even with Malik Willis, even at Tennessee, I just be feeling like if I had an athletic quarterback, I just know it's so many easy, simple things just to get them going, just to keep it light.
Do you know how hard your running game would be to stop if you build a dominant offensive line with Derrick Henry and Malik Willis?
You see what I'm saying? Like,
do you know how hard that is to defend? Like, both of those dudes are legitimate run you over.
So why not build around that and say, listen, we know we can't get the throwing down pat right now. We got that. But let's go ahead and be the best at this, and we'll build from that. But it doesn't really.
What really turned my attention on Justin Fields is when we played them, he was a son of a bitch to get off the field on third down.
Man.
He was absolutely a nightmare on third down.
Gamer. He's a real gamer. He's a real gamer.
And I was like, there's something here with this guy. Like, I don't know where he's at. Like, I don't watch enough of his games to know exactly where he's at in terms of his reads and his progressions yet. But I can tell when a dude you just can't get him off the field on third and long.
They're lucky he's not at Indianapolis. If he was at Indianapolis with Shane Steichen, he was at Indianapolis, it'll be a wrap. But it's just, man, but Ant Richardson.
And I don't trust, that's the thing, is I do not trust that coaching staff. Like, nothing against Matt Eberflus. I think Matt Eberflus is a good coach, but he's not an offensive guy. Yeah. And I don't know that they have the minds in the building to capitalize on what this young man could be. That's my concern.
I just hope they don't. I just sometimes see how coaches, I'm not saying they throw in the towel, but they don't. I be like, man, it's so much you can win with. There's so many ways you can win. Like, people don't think at one time people was winning football games and not throwing the ball. So to say it's impossible, there's plenty of ways to win football games. I just feel like coaches now are so stubborn, and they're not into just winning the way we need to win for our players efficiently.
Imagine if you gave a run-oriented coach, okay? Imagine if you gave an Eric Bieniemy. Imagine if you gave a Deuce Staley. Imagine if you gave a Jeff Stoutland as a coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like Malik Willis or a guy like, Justin Fields, what they could do to you in the run game. The million ways that they could kill you.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it would be crazy. And we can't get a couple easy play action and we can't get 18 or 20 throws from that. We can't figure out 17 to 20 throws from there. We can't build 17 to 20 throws from there. That's all I'm asking. We can't come up with a couple of play actions in there, even a couple of 17 to 20. And let's hope 5, 6 of them are one-on-one situations. Like, we could definitely get this thing to where it's pretty. I just feel like sometimes they act as if they can't coach. Like, I'm like, what are we like? Are you even trying to win? Are you trying to? Yeah. I feel like so many of them are trying to develop them while they're trying to. And sometimes the best development is just seeing them win. They just want to win. Got to let them. They got to believe in themselves.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, like, when people ask me, like, well, what's your affinity towards that type of quarterback? It's like, because that's the way I had to play quarterback too. It's the same way I was brought up to play quarterback. They generally used an athletic guy to manipulate the box. That's what we did. I mean, we weren't out there running 3 wide receiver sets, guys. We weren't playing 11 personnel. We weren't playing spread offenses like 10 personnel. We weren't out there, running those type of schemes. We weren't doing that back then. Like, it was very, very rare for an offense to come out there, especially when you're talking high school level, and break you down like that. That was very rare at that time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, like, for me, when you saw Pat White at West Virginia start to really affect people.
I remember Pat White.
With Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah, Pat White was one of my favorite college football players.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Like, that was, like, the first time I was like, oh, man, like, before we could only talk about, like, Randall. We could only talk about, like, Steve Young. You know what I mean? Like, Fran Tarkenton. Like, dudes, I'd never even seen Fran Tarkenton play a snap of football.
Yeah.
That dude, I think he was retired before I was even, like, born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we didn't really have these guys to like, oh man, like, you mean we can actually build legitimate concepts around this?
Yeah.
This can be more than just a high school system.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think the idea of it being a high school system was just so I just think it's an ignorant take. Just in my opinion, it's so many ways to. Yeah. I can say this. I understand, and in football, and understand the type of athletes you're dealing with, and saying certain things might not like transfer over. I understand that, but with these level of athletes that you have, you get them in open situation, an open space. It's a game of numbers, and the run game is all about numbers. If you just know how to put your numbers at the point and put your guys in open space, you should be fine.
Yeah.
And I just really don't. With Justin Fields, I don't know. I just feel like players like that, you can hit your head and win 8 games if you got a good offensive line. Now that's one I can say.
Exactly.
I think GMs got to do a better job at picking offensive linemen and finding. But if you got a decent offensive line, quarterbacks like that, I feel like you can bump your head and almost go 500.
Look what they're doing with a lot of these guys. Fred, really? You got to get in frame, huh? But like, I mean, Daniel Jones, the way they're manipulating using Daniel Jones.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example. Daniel Jones, that's the perfect example. Every now and then we want to try it. We're developing them. Let's try it out. But we ain't going to lose the game trying stuff. We're not going to lose the football game trying stuff out. Let's win the football game.
Josh Allen, that's how Josh Allen got his foot in the door. Yeah. Is the fact that this dude could legitimately run over linebackers. Like, there's so many guys like coming up that like I just feel like the game is so different now than what people realize. I think that people are missing it. Yeah, everyone's still looking for Tom Brady.
That's long. That's so crazy. It's so crazy to think about. Yeah. I remember watching who was playing quarterback? Was it Matt Ryan last year? I was watching any non-mobile quarterback now. The new quarterback, the new Tom Brady is gonna be like a Justin Herbert type.
Yeah,
that's the new.
Like Joe Burrow is not just a stationary thrower.
No, great legs. You feel me? Like you want to have to run. You got to be able to run. You got to have some.
Dudes are different now. Trevor Lawrence is a better athlete than people realize. Like,
an amazing athlete.
Yeah, like people don't get it, man. They don't get that these things are changing. I know he's right from. He played right around the corner from you.
Yeah. So we know about. We know about Trevor this way. Amazing athlete.
Like these guys are different. They're not the same type of athlete anymore. The position has changed so much. Like everyone talks about Patrick Mahomes. And Pat affects you. You can't just play. Listen, if you man up on Pat on a 3rd and 7 and he sees a lane to run through, guess what he's going to do to you? He's picking up 8 yards.
That's Super Bowl.
He's picking up 8 yards and getting down. Yeah. Like these dudes are different now, man. Like Pat runs it, Pat runs this weird, it's a combo between the spread and the West Coast where they've mixed in this RPO stuff with him. He's almost impossible defending that. You got other organizations, I think, lean a little heavier on the play action stuff over RPO. Tennessee's a great example where they run more play action than RPO. But to me, the game is different. Like the game is a lot different, man. And the Eagles were really smart to see it. See that, look, man, this dude is a dual threat quarterback. I'm just saying, like, there's something here.
And I love how the fact that we started doing what we were supposed to do in the second half of the season with last year. with Jalen. Well, excuse me, not last year, but the year before last when we played Tampa in the playoffs, because we was going in that direction of trying to force feed it, and people don't understand how much more when you're trying to build up a quarterback. It's not always about getting him to learn how to make the reads. It's about confidence. A lot of times they can see, a lot of them see it. Then wins is doing a lot more for people than they think. Like when Justin Fields started winning some games, he looked so much better. He's the same player. Yeah. The plays are still trash, but he got a couple of lucky wins in there, and now he feels different. Jalen Hurts, I promise you.
They gave Trevor Lawrence Doug Peterson, and look what happened.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
like all of a sudden now this dude's top 5.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Literally, like
Doug Peterson made this dude top 5, bro. Like, come on. like, never mind that dude turned the ball over all over the place when he played us. But Doug Peterson got that dude in the top 5 discussion. Like, to me, he's not a top 5 player yet, but
his potential, he's there. He's knocking on the door.
Yeah,
when
he's right there. But like,
when they beat the Chargers, that was the step to say, okay, now you at least got to put me in the names of Herbert and them. Like, I'm in this conversation. We were talking about top 10. When you get to that 7 through
the AFC West, man, the AFC West is going to be murder row.
Yes,
that is going to be murder. Like, listen, Jimmy G is a crock pot, but that dude wins somehow. I don't know how he does it. He just wins, and it's ugly. Like, horrible. I don't get it. It's the ugliest thing in the world when he wins, but the dude just keeps winning. New England, I'm a winner. San Francisco, I'm a winner. Like, I'm curious what he does with the Raiders. Like, if that dude turns them into a playoff team and wins a game,
you got to give it to him.
I don't know how to explain him, man. I don't know how to explain him, bro. He's not just Trent Dilfer.
Literally, like, you got to say, all right, maybe he's all right for real.
And like, he makes some of the dumbest plays I've ever seen professionally done. Where I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why just take the sack or throw the ball away? What are you doing? Like, why would you try to make that play right there? But I don't know, man. Like, there's something about him where I don't know if it's his presence in the locker room. Maybe he's just a really likable guy and dudes fight for him. I don't get it. But they scrape and they claw and they kick their way to wins with that guy. And I don't, for the life of me, from a quarterback perspective, he's all wrong in multiple ways. but
he's always right. He's always right at the end of the day. He's always right by the end when the clock hit 0-0.
I'm like, winning and losing. Yeah, like, I can't get it, man. Like, then you got, like, look, Russ. I've known Russ, man. I went to school with Russ. Russ, a nice guy. You know, he wouldn't remember me from crack, but I've met him. We've talked before. He's a nice dude. He's weird. That inner circle thing's weird with Russ. I'm not gonna lie. Dude's talented. The guy got talent, man. I don't think that you're gonna get the dip that you saw in Denver last year. I don't think that's going to be replicated 2 years in a row with him. I think that they're bound to have a comeback season there, a little bounce back. Then you got, Herbert out there with the Chargers. And, like, I'm sorry, but what I saw in the Super Bowl from Pat Mahomes was nothing short of courageous.
Amazing.
Like, the dude fought, man. He fought. Amazing. Like, the odds were against
that run.
He fought.
He did a little tongue run when he was running. Man,
under 30 passing attempts, under 200 yards, and the dude still found a freaking way. And it's tough, right? Because, like, everyone asks me, because I get this question so much, did Jalen Hurts outplay him? In my opinion, he did, but I'll also say,
did he outgame him?
Exactly. Like, there's subtleties to that discussion.
Like, Pat Mahomes is he really showed I'm a gamer. Like,
I wanted Jalen with the ball with 2 minutes left.
Oh, we get the ball back. I tell everybody, we get the ball back. There wasn't a second I thought that even if the Chiefs did score, I always thought if we get the ball back, Jalen Hurts is going to punch it in.
Yeah,
he is going to. I had 100% confidence. It was the fact that we didn't get a chance.
Not even as an Eagle fan, just as a fan of the game. That's a game you just want to see more of.
Yeah,
they're going back and forth. It's this epic battle. I hate that time is it's like those are the games like you want more time to see what would happen. Like, obviously for Chief fans, they're like, no, you could take 2 minutes off that game.
Yeah, facts.
but I mean, like, from a fan perspective, man, like that was a game. Like, that was the super heavyweight battle everybody wanted to see all freaking season.
And
they
lived
wanted
up to
to
it.
see
And
two truly heavyweights stand in the ring and throw punches at each other. And they got it. They got it in the Super Bowl. It didn't go our way, and that sucks. But man, that game was as good as you can get. Like, I'm excited, bro. I think that the loss may have done more for the motivation than people think.
I think the loss might push us. You know how people always talk about the teams that go to the Super Bowl, it's always harder for them to go back the next season. They don't understand who our quarterback is. Like, we don't have that type of DNA in the DNA that we have in the locker room after that loss. I feel like that loss might propel us for the next 3 years. Like, we got the potential even to win, but remember that first loss. That first loss is going to linger in the locker room for a while.
My guy got paid. He got paid $50 million. Is still fudging the numbers here, but $50 million a year. Walked into the press conference and said, "Money's nice, championships are better." Like, come on, man! Like, come on!
I'm telling you, he's not going to let it go. I know he's not going to end the push for perfection, and which we really need because we still got young guys. We're not an old team yet. We got about 2 more. We need these young guys to come along, so we need to push for perfection a little bit longer, a couple more years before we can even get to the point of thinking that, okay, we know what we are, but the push for perfection is going to be really high. And I think it's going to be great for the development of the young guys. Like the Landon Dickerson is still a younger guy. Smitty is still a younger guy. You see what I'm saying? The Cam Jurgens, the Steens, the Jordan Davises, because we haven't even got to the defense side. The push for perfection is really going to make our team grow a lot.
It's going to be. I just felt like, and I'll get him our number. I think you said your number 2, right?
Yeah. My number 2. I said my number 2 was Jason Kelce. I think both of us got the same number 1. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's Jalen Hurts. Come on, come on. It's an obvious one, right? Like, like to me, and that's the crazy thing is like, Jalen Hurts is clearly the number 1. Like the same way that like when we did our list. When we did our list last, was a couple weeks ago, it was Philly 4133 the pod. We were doing the defense. Both of us had Nakobe Dean number 1, and we changed it because we wanted to be entertaining. You know what I mean? Like, we wanted to be a little entertaining, so we mixed it up a little bit. But there's something about that young man. Like, it's crazy to me because we saw the vast majority of the city didn't embrace him. There was a segment that embraced Jalen Hurts, but not the vast majority.
And even the ones that didn't embrace him fully. They was like, oh, well, let's give him a chance. But they wasn't even like, oh, he's the starting quarterback.
Yep.
Like there was really no one. I can't remember too many people. I don't really remember nobody.
What I respect about him is he didn't come in with the support, but brick by brick
earned it.
He built that support from the city. And I think this is going to be the season that once it's laid low and it's over with, the rest of the NFL world who's still out here hanging on to these narratives is going to come to the same realization the majority of us had to come to, which is, damn, this dude's not just good, he's really good.
Like, man, I'm telling you, want me to tell you the type of run I think he's going to go on, and people not realizing, like, next year's going to say a lot, though. If he come out there the same way next year, we're talking about a really, really good quarterback, man. Like, all I know is this: I don't see him having a off season. That's just not. I don't see him having a season. I threw 18 picks this year. I just don't see that happening.
They're hoping. There's a certain fan base hoping for that, but
but that's not him. There's not going to be a drastic decline. No. There's not going to be.
No, he's going to break the pocket. He's going to break the pocket and throw it away if he doesn't see it there.
Yeah, like even when his athleticism fades or whatever, the way he learns the game and develops the game, by the time he no longer uses his legs, he'll be fine. He'll be more than fine.
And it's so crazy to me just because, like, I don't, like, everyone keeps asking, like, where do you think the ceiling is? What do you think? I don't know. I'm kind of like Nick. I don't
want to say, I don't, what I'm thinking, the guy that I got in my face right now, y'all just won't, it's going to seem like blasphemy because I've been getting on Cowboys fans because they've been referring him a lot, and I've been getting on them, like, quit bringing up this guy's name. But he really, you remember how good Peyton Manning was in the regular season? And just consistent. Oh, yeah. I just remember how consistent Peyton Manning was.
Oh, he was a dog. He was
so consistent. I'm not saying Hurts is going to be that, but he's going to be I just see him being very consistent. I'm gonna say like that for a long span of time, 6, 7, 8 years, being a very consistent. I just don't see fall offs like, and when I see consistent, I mean winning games. I don't see him losing games for us.
Peyton was throwing up Super Bowls while his elbow was being held together with rubber bands.
Yeah, like the upside for Jalen Hurts and greatness. I can't say this him losing that one, because if he would have been 1-1 even with Pat Mahomes, I mean, what we would have been saying his ceiling is
yeah, it's
what we would have been saying. Hey, he won the Super Bowl right now. We would have been saying the ceiling is who knows, literally.
Yeah, I still feel that way. Like I
still feel that way. Yeah, I still
like,
feel that way. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
When I first evaluated him, when I first sat down, I evaluated him. I looked through everything. Like I went over every single throwaway he had, all kinds of stuff after the 2020 season. Everyone said, "What do you think his ceiling is?" And I said, "I don't know, but he gives me McNabb vibes." And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in like, I think this dude's a freaking winner.
Yeah.
Say what you want to say about McNabb. I was disappointed in the Super Bowl too. Facts. That dude took us to 5 NFC championship games.
He held Philly up. He kept us as relevant as you can be without winning the Super Bowl.
If this dude ends up taking away 2 or 3 of those,
the conversation's a completely different conversation now.
Man, he's the greatest quarterback in franchise history if he does.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Like, and I feel like that's where that not to get on Matt now, but that's where his bitterness a little bit come from. Like
I didn't want to get on the mic in them train when they were ranking the quarterbacks. I'm like, yo, if I get my rankings right now, people are going to flip out. Yeah. They're going to flip out. I'm not going to do it until I know what I know.
Yeah, facts. Mm-hmm.
What I know is this dude's the greatest quarterback in franchise history.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. It's going to absolutely happen, in my opinion. Like, this dude is determined to work in a way that I don't think normal people just have, man. And NFL players in general aren't normal. Like, the worst dude there's got a tremendous work ethic.
And I also think that Russell Wilson and Jalen Hurts, because that was literally when I seen Jalen Hurts last year, I'm thinking, okay, I see him being a Russell Wilson, maybe even a little bit more athletic though. But the play style, take care of the football really well, great play action, always had a decent deep ball. I'm like, okay, we can win with this. He'll be Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, Jalen Hurts is going to be really good. This is the thing with Jalen Hurts that really got me is the clutch factor too. He's clutch.
I love about the Jalen Hurts and the Jalen Hurts and Russell Wilson comparison. What stands out to me about those two?
Both of them are leaders too, and in different ways. I think more people are willing to follow Jalen Hurts. The way he leads, I feel as if more people are susceptible to following. Russell Wilson, the way he leads, I believe, is a little bit older of the NFL, the older style of the NFL. Mm-hmm. So that can maybe cause problems in the future. But he got his Super Bowls.
Russ was this unheralded prospect out of Richmond in Virginia. Mm-hmm. Ended up picking NC State because I think NC State was one of the few schools that offered him to play baseball and football. Gets to NC State, really shouldn't have been a factor on the roster. Even his freshman year, he steps in the game and you're like, okay, like this dude gives us a chance. We're not good, but this dude gives us a chance. Fast forward, this dude's good. He's too short to make it to the NFL, but he's good. This dude's a player. NC State goes on, gets his high 4-star recruit out of Virginia as well, Mechanicsville, Virginia. Do you know who that was, by the way? Do you know who the player is?
Oh, who was it?
Think back to Chicago Bears and the Giants. Old big blonde hair dude.
Chicago Bears, Giants. Who was it?
Hang on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna look up his name for you. I can't think of his name right now. It's been so long. He's been removed so long. But former NC State quarterback.
Golly,
Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon, tall, played for Tampa, right?
So Mike Glennon comes in,
number 8,
and Mike's like this really, really high 4-star recruit. Okay. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows it's just a matter of time before Mike takes the helm at NC State. He's supposed to be this great player. And to be fair, Mike did good things at NC State. I'm not trying to bury the young man. Never accomplished what Russ accomplished there. Russ ends up saying that he's going to go play baseball, leaves the program. Tom O'Brien is the coach at NC State at the time. The old Marine, Tom O'Brien. That's that. Love you, Coach O'Brien. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to leave it at that, bro. So Russ says, look, I want to come back. Now they're in a predicament. If they give Russ the helm to the football team, you're getting 1 year of Russ, but you're losing 2 years of eligibility because Mike Glenn is transferring out of the program. So they give Russ his permission to walk. And Russ transfers to Wisconsin. Goes on to absolutely ball at Wisconsin and gets drafted in the 3rd round. The dude, like, just the underdog nature of what happened to him, the fact that everyone didn't think that this young man could be an NFL quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the parallels. There are some really unique parallels between those two guys. There are. Different personality-wise. Very different personality-wise. I would say that Russ is probably a little bit more outgoing than Jalen. I think Jalen strikes me as being a little bit more of the old soul, quiet type.
Yeah, facts.
Jalen's just there to outwork you.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen's just,
it's some scary similarities in the game too, though, ain't it? It's some scary similarities in their game, man. Like the style, like even the way they run, the way they slide, how they take care of their body, the way they pop right up. They never argue with nobody. You never see them get into it.
Yeah, like, the crazy thing is like when I look at those two guys, is like Jalen just has that vibe. It was like, the only thing you're gonna have to do for me in life is dig a hole 6 foot deep and put me in there, right?
Yeah,
that's his vibe, bro. Like, nobody got to do nothing for me. Don't worry about it.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I look at Russ and it's like, man, I get why the organization wanted Russ, didn't get him, saw Jalen and said, it's not happening twice.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at the time. At the time, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, we got 1,000,001 needs on this football team. What are we doing?
It's crazy. That might end up being our best draft pick in history. One of them.
I think that's where it's heading.
That's crazy. And the way that might be, and the response when it first happened was just so.
It's Philly. It's so Philly. McNabb
vitriolic.
Jalen Hurts' pick. Like, come on, man. It's so Philly.
And we just took care of Carson Wentz.
Yes, the contract.
I remember when we had the pick. I can't remember who did I say I want. I just remember being on the couch and I seen Jalen Hurts. I'm like, what? I just didn't understand it.
Neither did I.
Understand it.
Man, Mike. So here's the crazy thing: is Mike knew the pick ahead of time. Mike had somebody on the inside that was telling us the picks. So Mike had already texted Reese and I and told us the pick like 5 minutes before they announced it. So we're sitting here on the live stream with shock on our faces, trying not to give away who the pick is. Also trying to process it. we're trying to process, what did we just do? And why? Why did we just make this pick?
Yeah.
Like, and I remember they asked at one point, Mike was like, make sense of this. And I was like, I don't know.
There is.
I was like, maybe they're going to try to package something together for a trade. I don't know.
But that's how you know. But that's really, to be honest with you, that's how you know that even unless you're in the locker room, I bet you if I was in the locker room, I'm not saying nobody thought Jalen Hurts would be picked, but you could just tell, like, all right, Wentz ain't working out with everybody. Like, it's little.
There was a lot of things behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes that I think like. Yeah. I'm not saying it made sense in the second round, but getting the quarterback maybe for the future wasn't the biggest surprise.
I think that they got put in a really rough place with Wentz because I think a lot of the older veterans backed him, but I think some of the other guys, they weren't feeling the whole Wentz thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know Carson personally. I know the young man was born here in Raleigh, North Carolina, but I never met the dude. I'm not too sure. It's a hard thing because, like, I don't think he's a bad guy or anything. I don't think he related.
He's not relatable. I don't think he related, and he doesn't understand quarterback is one of those positions, and that's why you have to win because you impact the game so much.
Yeah,
like, even your vibe matters. Everything matters. Yeah. Everything matters.
He's vibing with guys like Fletcher Cox and them because you're talking about a Mississippi boy who's used to hunting deer and fishing and stuff. Like,
no, nobody.
You talking to somebody from New York or from Philly or from, like, they don't know what you're talking about, bro.
They don't have no clue. And are you able to still have a conversation or still make them feel like, you feel me? You're willing to talk to them, man.
Can you imagine having that conversation with like not the Shady was there, but can you imagine having that conversation with like Shady? Like,
what?
Look at you like you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about, man?
Crazy's all get out. And on top of that, what's so wild is, man, for us to go on for Carson Wentz, man, when he was on that before what game was it? Was it against the Colts when he tore his ACL? Man, watching him that
The
season,
Rams. Yeah,
the
the
Rams,
Rams. Yeah.
he was so electric. And for us
Dude,
to make that
he
move,
looked like the dude, man.
he
He
looked like the
looked
next
like the
top 5
dude that
quarterback.
season.
Everybody kept saying, I was like, y'all don't understand. Carson Wentz looked like he's going to be the next best quarterback.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I thought.
Andrew Luck talk, all this Andrew Luck talk. Like, y'all, he was like the next Andrew Luck. Like, that's the way it was looking that season. Like, wow, this guy is amazing. And
It's
he
crazy
just
how much was going on behind the scenes.
yeah.
The amount of stuff that was happening behind the scenes, and it was leaking. But like everyone, like I remember they had the Alshon Jeffrey report where they were calling Alshon.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, I don't know, bro. Like trying to blame Alshon for it seems a little weak. Like they were at the Sixers game and stuff together. Like I don't like blaming people when I don't know what's happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna put that on somebody when I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know who leaked it, but I know somebody said something. And then come to find out, it seems like he absolutely was the one who was like, yeah, bro, this dude, there's something weird about this guy.
Man, I heard certain other people. I played with I know a couple guys that play for Philly, and it's just it's interesting. It's interesting.
It's tough, man, because look, man, my boy Scotty, I love him to death, man. He, dude went to St. Aug's, played at St. Augustine's College up here in Raleigh, right off Raleigh Boulevard. But dude, he's country as hell, man. He's from North Carolina. He's not a Philly guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, talk about hunting and fishing and stuff.
That's
all he talk about, man. My boy Scott, that's all he be talking about. I'm like, where you be fishing at out this way? Because he be coming up to McLeansville, which is just outside of where I live. He's like, nah, bro, you got to hit them ponds over there at McLeansville. I'm like, I don't even know where you're going. Bro.
I don't even know where you're going. Like,
yeah, like where do you be seeing ponds at? Like, residential neighborhoods, bro. Like, what are you doing?
Well, for Howie to strike on both of them, shout out to Howie. He grabbed Carson Wentz that looked like it was going to be worth it. And then to end up getting Jalen Hurts to pull, that might be one of the best GM flips, like turnarounds I've ever seen. From go to Wentz to Hurts might be the best turnaround I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like, you know how people give credit for like the longevity of Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That's worth the nod for sure. But to get over you thinking that you have the next best quarterback and to pay him, and then a year after to pretty much have to reorganize your mind to find the next one.
Yeah.
And then you find the next star. Then you find the next one.
And you know the crazy thing is this is what I heard. This is what I heard. I don't know how true this is. I heard it wasn't even so much the personality thing. People found it they found it a little weird. But I mean, like, dude's got weird interests, man. When somebody interested in something, they're gonna talk your head off about it. But from what I heard, what got reported back to me, and I don't know how accurate this stuff is, but I heard it was his relationship and the way that he acted in environments that had nothing to do with the game, practices, film session.
Yeah.
I heard that's really what people were kind of having issue with.
Yeah.
That he was being not held to the same standard that other people were. That's what I heard.
Wow. And I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I don't know, but also probably because he seems like the type that can't take that criticism. So
yeah,
he probably.
And I think that's what makes Jalen so so welcoming is that this is a dude that he's a coach's son, man.
Yeah,
he lives and breathes it. It's all he wants to do is talk film.
And also, I don't know if it's been another quarterback, maybe like you said, since Matt Knapp, that I really like. And we have an amazing team.
Yeah.
But we go at the heartbeat of Jalen Hurts. When I say we truly, when they talk about most valuable player. Valuable, of course, Pat Mahomes. They go at the heartbeat of Pat Mahomes. Clearly,
yeah,
it's the same thing with it's
0-2
crazy.
We went 0-2 without him.
Literally,
we lost to a Saints team that could barely win football games last year without Jalen Hurts in that game. Now they got to look. I'm not. Saints had a defense, bro. When they got healthy, that defense was legit.
Oh yeah, the Saints defense is definitely legit.
Minshew didn't stand a chance out there.
No,
they was locking them. They were playing up tight on us, and he just can't affect the box the same way. There's nothing.
But you're right. We went 0-2. We went 0-2 without him.
Yeah, we went 0-2 without him, and that just speaks to the vibe. I mean, of what he was like.
And the games we lost, he tried to win.
Lost in the regular season. I mean, come on, man! Like
he won it. Not saying he won it, but he even was the reason he fought us back. He fought us back. Like he drug us. Every game, it seems like either he drug us or he got his team going. But if we're not going,
gets that crazy fast face mask no call, which leads to a fumble that should have been called. I mean, absolutely should have been called. He ends up getting up, trying to run with the ball, fumbles the ball. It's like, come on, man, what you want him to do? It's not. It's not him.
He literally drugged that's what about a Super Bowl. Even when he put the ball down on the ground, people don't know how he real live. Like I just don't think people know being out there and just understanding. Wow, he's really. It's like watching great performances. Like when Kobe would go for 81. Like, man, you're really doing it by yourself. Like I know that you're doing every single read. I know that one bad read on your part is going to completely ruin this whole play. You don't have plays off, Jalen. You don't get the plays where you just hand it off. We didn't have many of those plays. We didn't have as many almost handed to Miles. We might have had 3 or 4, maybe 5 at the most direct handoffs a game.
Yes.
You got 50, 60 plays. You got all them reads to make every single time.
Absolutely. Man, and like Drew just said right here. Great show, guys. Appreciate you, Drew. Jalen just has the it factor. And that's so hard to explain, but it's true.
It is really true.
Some dudes in those moments just have the it factor.
Got it.
Think the Colts game, Indianapolis. We're down. We're down double digits going into the fourth quarter. And Jalen by himself lifts that football team to a win against a team that we should not have been in that kind of scrap with. Man. But we were. And he pulled us out of that game. That would have been pretty bad coming off of the Texans' performance to the loss at Washington.
Yeah.
To then having like a letdown against the Colts, like that would have been like a big deal. And like the fact that he was able to elevate that team and say like, no, get on my shoulders. I got this.
Yeah.
There is an it factor. There's an it factor to those things. Like
he's it.
I hate to say it, Brady, as much as I don't like Brady, and it's not personal, I don't like a guy that's that successful. It's irritating. Like, but he had the it factor, right? Like when crap went wrong, like this dude just somehow had an it factor to him. Like where the dude's not athletically gifted. He's not even, for the longest time, I wouldn't even say that he was a particularly strong-armed quarterback. I think he got better at that as time went on. But the dude just had that, what do they call it, the midnight courage? Where when everything's going off, man, he responds and
he elevates.
Yeah, he does his thing, man.
It's not a person I would rather have back there. And he really made me comfortable last year saying, man, if it's 2 minutes left on the clock, I'll take Jalen Hurts. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'm good with it. And it feels good to be able to really say that because it's been a while, even with all the Carson debacle and everything. We only had Carson for 1 year. We had some decent years with Nick Foles, but this is different. This is different. Yeah. There's not a time when no matter what you do, I don't care if you blitz us. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you make my quarterback get outside the pocket. I don't care if you make him stay in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with Jalen Hurts. I'm good with my guy.
Even going into the playoff game, right? Everybody smells blood in the water. They were projecting the Giants to beat us. Let's call a spade a spade. Now, Vegas didn't go that way. Vegas wasn't stupid about their money.
Yeah.
But all the commentators smelled blood in the water. Okay? They all were projecting.
They thought we wasn't playing up. They was playing great and we was playing bad.
Yep.
The Giants is trending up.
Yep. Jalen Hurts is going in there with an injured shoulder. We didn't know the extent of the injury yet. Mm-hmm. The dude comes out in the first quarter and absolutely silences the whole thing.
Off the rip.
Yeah.
Off the rip.
By the time we get to halftime, the game is over. It's 28-0. This is over. This ain't nothing left but 30 minutes to just run you into the ground.
Man.
like that was all that was left in the game, basically. It was 30 minutes of we're going to put you into the ground. It's going to hurt. Like, it's just like when you see those moments, like they already got after him, the Giants did in the 2021 season, had that upset win. You got the injury. You're coming into the playoffs. This is, you didn't have that great performance your first time in the playoffs. Everybody was making the comments about you can't read defenses, all that stuff. For him to rise above in that moment and do what he did to them, it's like, hey, man, like, I think we got the guy. I think not only do we got the guy, but we got the guy for a long time.
Like, you got him. As long as he stay healthy, that's the big thing. He doesn't even seem like the type to get hurt. I don't remember him being injured much ever in college. I don't remember him really having. Now, of course, like you said, Lee, we running him around like that.
Yeah. And he had the ankle injury in 2021 and then the shoulder injury last year. But a lot of it, like 2021, I just thought that was, look, I love Nick. Steichen was really good. Brian Johnson's good. All those dudes are really good. Stoutland, Patullo, who runs our passing game. He's actually the passing game coordinator. Those dudes are all really good. They had a tremendously bad game plan in Chicago for the weather environment.
Yeah.
Protect your quarterback there, bro. Come on.
And then I remember just seeing them. And by now, I ain't going to lie, I think by Chicago, and they kind of learned that a little later, by Chicago, I was feeling like, listen, we know he's the threat of the run. Just trick the defense. Like, the threat is already there. We're going to have the leverage on defense. They're going to be in what we need them to be in anyway because the threat of him running is there already.
Yep.
I definitely feel as if we could have. I mean, he was out there he was out there hooping for his life. It seemed like Jalen Hurts had the ball every single play that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My guy Michael said that's why you have good defensive backs to have a chance on defense. Yeah, to play up around the line. Yeah, I agree. Gives your pass rush a chance. Your pass rush can, your pass rush and your coverage they coincide with each other. Kind of one hand on top of the other. Lonely B said the modern rules protect the quarterback from hits and making defending wide receivers more difficult, lower the bar for effective passing while making quarterback hits less of an injury risk. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole progression of it, Lonely B, from 78's pass interference ruled where, only had 5 yards to do it to getting into the 90s. You got 95. They reaffirmed the rule, basically got down. They had a referendum on it and said like, hey, you need to start calling these pass interferences. And they stopped the force out to the early 2000s after the 2003 season to where Carolina held the crap out of the Eagles in that game. Yeah. And then the Patriots receivers got held in their game. Both championship games, they went back and said, look, man, we got to do something about this. We cannot let these guys just hold down field. You get into all the advancements starting around 2006, 7, 8 with protecting the quarterbacks. The Brady rule, all those things that started happening after he tore his knee.
And I don't think people really understand how much that targeting, like in the secondary, how big of a difference that plays. Because I can, as a football player, I know without a doubt, them wide receivers run with a little bit more freedom right now than they used to. Because to say that does not have an effect on the game is just unfactual. Because people used to get folded up out there.
Yeah,
people just get folded up. Like,
Lonely Beast and McNabb was behind the best pass blocking O-line I've ever seen. It's the only line I've seen that after McNabb scrambled to avoid a sack, followed McNabb and created a new pocket to block. That was a good line. You're talking about the Jermaine Mayberry, Trey Thomas, Runyon. Man, that squad was good, bro. That's good. Yeah. Was Jackson the center back then? I can't remember who. It's been a while. It's been a long time. I'm getting old, Lonely B. I think my mind's starting to go a little bit.
Once you go pre-chip, I gotta start digging back there a little bit and start remembering.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta start digging.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's tough to remember all the teams because like the variations in the teams, like you have the eras. Like you have the pre-TO era, you have the TO era. Then I think you have the Macklin and Djax era. Then you have the Macklin, Djax, and Vic era. You know what I mean? With Shady.
They got the Nick Foles run.
Yeah, then you got the Nick Foles. Like, it's the Wentz era. Like, just these different eras of football. I mean, I'm old enough to go back to like Rodney Peete. Rodney Peete. I grew up on Cunningham. That was when I was a kid and you're in the room and you're pretending that you're driving the Eagles to win the game. I mean, you're pretending to be McNabb. Yeah. You're pretending to be Cunningham back in the day. I mean, that's just how we grew up. I remember, man, those starter jackets. Those Eagle starter jackets went hard back in the early.
That's what McNabb was for me, for my generation. McNabb, man.
Donovan you went, Jalen. You guys were both huge McNabb guys. Yeah,
McNabb, man.
Yeah.
But he was Philly. Like, Donovan McNabb made that number 5 look good with that Eagles. Yeah, man. Like,
that's the first jersey I bought with my own money.
Like, that's a real, Like when they say some people jersey number being retired,
Mm-hmm.
man, boy, Matt Knapp did a lot. He kept us. I'm not saying he took us to another level because we was
Yeah,
good in the '90s. We had great teams, like we had runs,
yeah.
but
There's a
man,
lot of you guys that came up during that era. Actually, I think Mike mentioned that to me. Like McNabb
yeah,
is the era he grew up with
Matt
too.
was really like the. And
Yeah,
of course, everybody loved Vic because everybody was a Michael Vick fan.
yeah,
So of
yeah.
course, Michael Vick was just it's exciting getting Michael Vick, but like what really
Man,
like
there was a short period of time in 2011, man, where it looked like it was about to happen with Vic.
yeah.
It sucks the way it worked out because we met in the wild card round. We ended up meeting Green Bay, and it was like you knew whoever won that game was going to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, like I wish that could have been the NFC Championship game because that would have been that would have been a great run. But yeah, those teams were so talented, man. Like it's so hard. Like I wish we could have built the defensive structure around that Vic, Shady, McNair, or not McNair, Shady, then like D-Jax and those guys, like to have that defensive structure around them. Like, whew, man, that could have been like Macklin. That's all I'm trying to get to.
Yeah,
Macklin,
when Chip Kelly,
like, those guys, like, oh man, like if we would have had the defensive structure behind that, oh man, those teams were so good.
so good, man. That's why I'll never forgive. When I say I'll never, that's why when I see D-Jax give him a little bit of a hard time, I'm not saying I love it because I'm not a. Pardon me. I'm not the biggest fan of like going back talking about coaches, but man, Chip ruined. Chip put us upside down,
Yeah.
like up.
Chip did positive things, like in terms of like the sports science crap that he came up with, and he was really good at hiring coaches. I think he actually found some.
Because he's responsible for styling.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
came out of Chip Kelly, so I understand that. It's some cool. It's some good things.
Man, his personnel decisions were terrible.
Shady and D-Jax, Deshaun Jackson leaving was just. And then when I seen LaShawn McCoy, I'm like, y'all, what are we?
Bro, we got rid of D-Jax and Macklin for Riley Cooper.
Riley
come on, bro.
What?
Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing
what
here?
Are we doing? And what's so crazy is like he took that college thing too far. Too far. Because at the end of the day, man, you gotta have dogs out there. You gotta have ball players. Like, and that's the truth. Now that's one thing I can say. There's not too many systems that can outdo ball players. Like, you gotta have some ball players, unless you have Pat Mahomes. But if you ain't got a Pat Mahomes back there, you gotta have some ball players.
And it's tough because like I don't know what you do about the Andy Reid situation. I just think Andy's time was due to come to an end in Philadelphia, even though I do feel like, man, if you could have gotten Reid to get back on track with that group,
man,
with Vic, with just Shady and Macklin and D-Jax, Selleck.
Sky's the limit.
Like, dude, I mean, what we could have done with Andy being able to manipulate defenses like that. Like, it felt like, okay, we get it, man. Like, it was things that didn't have to do with football. Like, his personal life got very complicated in Philadelphia. But I mean, it was like, come on, man. Like, that's definitely one where it's like, man, we might have put it together there. Like, yeah. I think we gave up after a terrible 2012 season too quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they won a chip, bro. And that was oh God. That's an error.
Chip Kelly, no lie, I tell people, like, as an Eagles fan, that's probably like the worst, like, I can't even explain it. Like, that's the worst thing to happen to us.
At the end of this month, we're working on 10 years since that first camp.
Man.
That Chip camp, bro. Like, oh man, like, you don't remember they was playing all the music and stuff and like trying to create the distractions. They had those the big ass mitts out there.
The huge mitts.
Those little cross sticks.
Yeah.
Trying to, man. I remember that camp, bro. That was a circus, bro. It was a comical. Like, what are they doing?
Oh man.
Like people at first love the gimmick of that. And I'm like, oh, it's nothing, it's straight up gimmicks, though.
And what like people don't understand is what Chip did to us Philly fans is the fact that not only did we not winning, but like even like the Chargers, right? Let's say even if we would have been the Chargers with Chip Kelly, a bunch of guys with great talent, vet guys, can't get a playoff win to save their life, right?
Yeah.
Even if we would have been that, at least we still had Shady and D Jax to at least rally behind.
Uh-huh.
When you got rid of these folk, you left us with nothing to hang on to. You left us with nothing to really cling to. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he just really just trashed us.
Appreciate you, James. He said, "You guys make a great team. Can't wait for y'all to work together again. Go Birds!"
Yes,
Yeah, man. Yeah, we've known each other for a while now. As strange as that
definitely.
is, it's kind of how you do work. Yeah.
Definitely
We'll definitely
around.
We'll try to figure something out, man. I wouldn't mind doing like a proper podcast, guys. I just got to figure out timing when we can record it, get it uploaded, get it to several platforms, not just YouTube, but get it audio, all that stuff. But yeah, man. Doug's a smart guy, man. He knows the game at a certain level, which is it's fun to talk to people like that. Like I started, when I first started that, and I was talking to guys like Max Brown, former Gatorade All-American, played at USC and Pitt. Then I started talking to Justin Arth, and then after Justin Arth, girl, feeling get off that door. After Justin Arth, I talked to you and Jalen, like you build knowledge, man. The more people you talk to with that, like just the more knowledge you can build and understand systems and things that's going on. Especially, hey man, Dubs, I appreciate you, bro. It's been more than 2 hours. You hung in here.
Yes, sir.
Guys, Dubs, the O-line guru. He's probably like me. He's probably not putting out a lot of content right now just because.
I got more stuff coming soon. I promise you. I know I don't have a lot right now. My setup's a lot nicer than what it was, though, guys. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be a lot. Especially when the season come around. I got a guy named Preston Smith. I'm about to do a recap on. Preston's really, really nice. So I got somebody named Preston I'm about to do a recap on, and then I got a few things I'm gonna say. But when football season come around, game recaps, I'm gonna hit all them heavy. Because I can give a lot of insight, what I think is going to have to be done for the games. And I want to get up with Gate, too. I want to start doing some game recaps. That's my favorite thing to do. What we need to do to win the game and what we did after the game. I can talk about that all day.
We'll have to figure something out. We maybe do a post-game kind of thing where – the only thing I hate about post-games, man, is like I have to like detach my emotions from it at first.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fast. Sit down. Like last 2 years ago, you can ask my group chat. All I said was, we need to run the effing ball. Run the ball.
Might be want to put those post games up like 15, 20 minutes after the game. I'm like, bro, I'm still over here throwing stuff around the room, bro.
Yeah, like let it marinate a little bit. Like fast.
But yeah, we'll figure something out, guys. I mean, I would love to do it like a proper podcast style, and partner with people who know the game to a certain level and can bring a lot of perspective. And it makes the conversations more interesting. Like it just does, man. Like it's fun to have conversations with somebody who could push back on the perspective a little bit and say like, wait a minute now, what you think about this?
For sure.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm sorry it took all freaking night for my internet to stabilize.
You got good though. It definitely locked in though. It stopped. It ain't messed up in a while, so it's good.
Yeah, it sucks that it took this long for it to stabilize. But hey, guys, we're gonna definitely do this again. Training camp's coming up. There's a lot, guys. There's so much to go over. Like we're gonna have to talk about 53-man roster projections.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to talk about once we can finally see the install, once we get a feel for what the install is going to be, and that might take us a game or two. We might need to see a game or two before we can really talk about what we're seeing from the install of the offense. But once we get a couple of weeks in and we can really break down what we're seeing, like I would definitely love to get Dubs on here, Jalen on here. I'll go to their channels and talk, and talk about what we're seeing from the install of the offense. What's happening? We'll talk about the nuts and the bolts of what's going on there. Pause.
Thanks, man. And football season right around the corner, so we blessed, dude. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I know. We're almost through the dead season, man. This is like the middle of June to the middle of like July. It's like, man, it's always like the longest period of time.
Yeah.
Like as soon as OTAs finish, and then like you're just waiting for camp to start. It's like, I know players are probably loving it because it's probably the only time they really get to kind of like recuperate the body in between the season. But it's like, man, it's so hard from a sports commentary perspective. All right, guys, we appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all on the next live stream. I got some videos coming up, guys. We are going to visit a couple of topics, and we're really going to visit the history behind since 1999, what has happened in the city of Philadelphia with defensive tackles, what the production has been. And I'm going to make a video that's going to highlight what my expectations are for Jalen Carter. So that is going to be the next video coming up, guys. So you guys know I'm going to go into that depth about the history. That's going to be that opening thing is reviewing what's happened since 1999 in Philadelphia. And then I'm going to give you who I think this guy's going to be, the type of numbers I think are going to be popping out here, man. I'm telling you, if y'all don't think that this guy is going to be a player here in Philadelphia,
he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem.
I'm telling you who to look for, guys. I think we found ourselves the type of impact player that Corey Simon had his rookie year walking into Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
I think Jalen Carter's about to kick the doors down like Corey Simon did his rookie year.
Wow.
I think that's what this dude's about to do, man. I think you're going to see total tackles up there. Tackles for loss are going to be up there. I think his sack production is going to be high. Telling you, man, I think we got one. Y'all. I'm going to leave y'all on that one.
Facts.
Dubs, I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, Gate. Thank you always, man.
All right, y'all.